joining the second half, not the first. Let me see, double check. Yes, that is correct. You'll be joining the second half. So as folks kind of trickle in, there will be brand new faces on the screen, which I'm really excited about. We have our new community board members who will be joining for either their first ever meeting, and of course their first meeting as community board members. So I will do my best to kind of do a quick intro and give you a little sneak peek of the night. I see Porfirio has his hand up, so go ahead, Porfirio.
I just wanted to let you know that the Deputy Manhattan Borough President, Keisha Sutton-James, will be joining us somewhere around 7:10. So she will be here to represent the Manhattan Borough President this evening.
Okay, excellent. Great. Thank you.
And I unfortunately have to leave early.
Oh, good, Liz. I'm sure we can refer to folks to the minutes.
Yes.
So for folks, as kind of like some housekeeping logistics, I will be chairing until at least the first half of the meeting until Elisa gets here. Meaning that Angel, our second vice chair, I should have said I'm first vice chair. My name's Catherine Diaz. And so Angel, who's our second vice chair, will be acting secretary for the night. So we're both kind of managing the chat and making sure quorum is here and taking a note of our new members. So I ask for some patience. And if you are speaking, and if you're a member, if you're representing an elected and will be speaking tonight, if you can just use the raise hand function, it'll be a lot easier to catch you as you come in. Thank you.
Seems like Liz has a question.
No, I'm actually raising my hand so that I can speak during the public session on behalf of a community organization.
Okay, I got you, Liz. You'll be the third speaker.
Thanks so much.
All right.
Hi, Catherine. This is Damaris Rodriguez, the Chief of Staff of Assemblymember Manny de los Santos. I'm unable to write on here for some reason, so.
Yes, so we only have Q&A for general. We don't have the chat function working. If you want to share a link, or public information, I would say if you could send it to the office and the office can share it out.
Because even for Q&A, I'm not able to write questions. So I just wanted to let you know that I wanted to say something as well to update.
Okay. The easiest way to share, unfortunately, as a panelist, you can't put in the Q&A. So I have to after you're done reporting, we can, I don't want to say demote you, but just put you as an attendee and then you can comment in the chat. In the Q&A. And if I can have either Paola or a member of the staff, please move Mariela Lee as a panelist. She's currently in our attendance.
So we're currently at 23. I believe we need 3 more people to get ourselves to quorum.
Yes, we do.
And there's a question in the chat about Broadway and cycling, and that's something that we're going to address in our committee meeting. So I'm just going to answer that question. Do we actually need to have quorum to proceed with things like the DM's report and the public speakers section? Because I believe we do not.
No, we don't, but just for ease for us tonight, we were kind of.
Yeah,
hoping
if
for
I could
that.
comment on that, although some of the
Go ahead.
reports, I'm Jim Berlin, by the way, for the new people. I'm the parliamentarian. I've been a parliamentarian for a while. We can have reports without a quorum. However, it would be rude, to say the least, to have the public session without a quorum, since the public is entitled to speak to a quorum of the community board, when they speak to us. So that has to wait until we have a quorum. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. So let's go
We might be
ahead
there.
and. I'm sorry, what was that, Angel?
No, go ahead. I think we might be there, but go ahead.
All right, cool.
I'll let you know.
So the time is 6:39. I'll call this meeting to order, and we will call the time when we have a quorum. I want to welcome everybody to our May 2022 general meeting. What may be our last exclusive virtual meeting. I will talk about that a little bit more later. And first of all, I said it earlier, but just in case new folks joined, I want to welcome all of our brand new board members. If you've sat on a community board meeting before or have seen us in action, hopefully you have some context as to what happens tonight. I will do my best, and I would say, don't feel, shy or at all to raise your hand if there's a part of the meeting that you don't understand. I'm also going to urge all of our chairs to also, introduce yourself as you speak. Same thing as our board members, and to share a little bit of context. This can be a whirlwind when you've never been at a community board meeting. And so we will do our absolute best to explain. Also, if you feel like you're lost today, that is okay. It takes probably like 2 years to feel like you get what happens at a community board meeting. So don't feel intimidated. It might be a little overwhelming, particularly because we have a lot of new parts that we usually don't address at a standard general meeting. To share, our general meeting is usually when we have a public session. So let me go from the top of our agenda, which we should all have. We have our district manager's report, our chairperson's report. This is a meeting per month where the public is invited to speak on whatever is on their mind, whether it's a community concern, whether they're in support or in opposition to a resolution that has come through any of our committees. And then this is a big meeting at the end of the month when we vote on all of the work that happens in committees. So a lot of the times we kind of wait for like our full meal coming at the general meeting. And in reality, everything actually happens at committee. So you'll get a sneak peek of that or you'll start experiencing that, I should say, in the month of June. Tonight, we kind of breeze through what some of the committees have been discussing or working on. And you'll get to hear from all of the chairs as well. So I hope that was the quickest explanation. We follow Robert's Rules of Order. I'll ask later on during the evening for our parliamentarian, if I'm still moderating, to just kind of give a quick summation in terms of expectations as we speak. We are all timed when we speak. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. And yeah, so I called the meeting to order. I don't even have the agenda in front of me, guys. Sorry, give me a second.
And Catherine, we do have quorum at this point.
All right, excellent, thank you. I know some of the chats have also been curious. On our website, Community Board 12 Manhattan, you can find our calendar for next month, when all our committees are meeting, and what topics they will be discussing. Even if a topic is that is of interest is not on there, we always recommend for you to come. You can raise it. And I should say June is our last meeting before our summer break. So it's definitely a great time to kind of get involved before we come back in the spring. Let's see, where is my agenda? There we go. Okay. So call the meeting to order. We have quorum. Okay, so is there a motion to adopt the agenda for this month?
I make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Great, Mary. Who seconds?
I second.
That was Maria Luna.
Maria Luna.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Okay, is there a motion on the floor to adopt the April 2022 minutes?
Didn't get them.
Mary,
Catherine, you left.
None were
out some-
submitted to the
Hold on one
office.
second.
We don't have them.
Okay, so we don't have minutes. We will move that to next month to
Yeah,
vote
Catherine,
on. Yes,
you
Jim?
you neglected to say some magic words.
Yes, what are the words?
Once the motion to approve the agenda was adopted, you should have said, is there any objection? And you would have had none, and you would then have said, hearing none, the motion is approved. We always have to say all the magic words.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
Jim.
very
Saving me all the time. All right. All right, so we have none for April. We will vote on those in June. Chair report. Sorry, yes, Liz, were you gonna say something?
Was there any objection to the agenda?
No, hearing none.
Great.
Great, thank you. I see Jay has a hand up. Was that an objection or related to the?
No, it's just that I don't have the agenda. Can someone forward it to me?
Okay, can one of
I
the
got you,
staff?
Jim.
All right, thank you, Liz.
Yep.
Thank you, Liz. All right, so our chair's report. I am not the chair. I am acting chair for this meeting, but there are some really important pieces for us to discuss this evening. And let me just time myself. Okay. So as I quickly mentioned, this will likely, who knows, be our last exclusively virtual meeting, meaning we will come back in June. So I think this was brought up last month. This was discussed in the executive meeting where there will be a hearing. So please be on the lookout this week for your emails. If you're a member of the public, please make sure you're also on our listserv, as we will be hosting a public hearing around hybrid meetings moving forward as of June 9th. This will be a hearing where we will discuss our resolution, our plans, any concerns or questions that you have, whether you're a board member or a member of the public, or quite frankly, an institution that also comes and speaks routinely. That evening, we will also vote on the resolution. So it will be, if there's any edits to be made, those will be edits that will be made live. We will vote, and meaning that our next general meeting will be in person, and folks during that evening will also learn what the exceptions are to participating virtually. I'm gonna hold questions on that point because there's actually, you know what, I'm gonna take the questions for that now, just because the other two topics are completely irrelevant. Go, Liz, and then Tanya.
So I totally understand that we need to make the move to hybrid meetings, in-person meetings. I get that. There's a lot that I'm looking forward to. But my understanding is that we really need to make a good faith effort to be complying with the law. And our committees, most of them meet the first week of June, a few of them meet the second week of June. And so there are going to be some that will be meeting before the June 9th deadline, and some that will be meeting after the June 9th deadline. I feel like it's really important for there to be a consistent public experience and a consistent engagement. And I would strongly recommend, I would actually beg that we please allow the committees that are scheduled to meet after the 9th to meet on Zoom anyway. I mean, for me, Parks and Cultural Affairs, I've got at least 2 presentations, possibly 3. And I don't know how to use all of this technology. And I feel like I have a public responsibility to deliver a comprehensive meeting where people are thoughtfully engaged. And I feel like I'm not going to be able to do that, even though, you know, the staff is working hard. And I feel like we are going to do a better job if we have that week after our committees have all met to figure out how to do this for the general meeting. And then the summer to really actively engage on how to get it together so that we are up and running for September. And I believe that that's consistent with a good faith effort. So,
and sorry, Liz, I didn't get into the meat of it because that's what the special hearing is for. I should have also clarified. This is a hearing where we're gonna, of course, hear and listen and formulate this, but this is where, more importantly, we as a board vote, right? So
Okay.
if we want hybrid, if we don't want hybrid, what that means for committees, task forces, general meeting. Tanya, and then Jim.
You may have just answered the question, maybe, in terms of how, so the public hearing is not a hearing for the public. It's for the public, but you're saying that at this public hearing is where you're going to where we're going to have input from the board in terms of how this can be done, what will be needed for this to work. So that's all where that's going to be happening.
Yeah,
so we'll
it's
get the input there.
Yeah, sorry. So it's essentially 2 meetings, one night. So one portion would be the public hearing piece, both board members, members of the public. Then after that, and we're going to time it out so that we can actually vote on it because we have to vote on it before the 9th.
Okay. So in terms of in input in advance, are we getting input in advance? Because it seems like that's going to be something that is going to be needed this is something that's going to take a lot of thought. What is going to happen in advance of that hearing so that there is input from the board regarding, you know, what this needs to look like?
Yeah, so the idea is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, and I'm gonna let Jim step in on it too, because he's actively working on this as well, is that the materials to the board members are gonna be circulated before. So it's not like you just show up and you're seeing everything, right? You're gonna get, this is the resolution, this is what we have to respond to for the law, and then this is what's in motion. So there'll be time. The idea is that like we have sufficient, at least a couple of days to digest all of it and be ready to make amendments, any edits and whatnot.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm asking is how, I'm saying input before you put a resolution together. So before there's a resolution, how is the input from the board going to be reflected in that resolution that we're going to be presented with to then consider? Because we need to have, it's crucial to have input from the board members and before you put together something like that, because I think it would be, I mean, and it's a tendency for us to do that kind of thing here. But I want us to do something a little different, and perhaps we could make sure that there's a way to gather input and thoughts prior to putting that resolution together and have those things be then part of what I would say is I
hear where you're going, to be able to not have something definitive.
I would not want a resolution to be presented that has not been brought to the full board first for us to then I would see a resolution. But to have a resolution and then you say, well, here's what we've come up with, was a group of us come up with, and here it is for you to consider. I wouldn't want that done that way.
Right. So that's what I'm agreeing with. Everything's going to be circulated before for input. Go ahead, Jim, and then we'll keep going.
Yeah, let me try to demystify this a little bit. And I understand that we don't want to get into the whole business tonight. There's a revision of the state open meetings law, which allows for hybrid meetings. In order for us to have hybrid meetings, however, we have to pass a resolution that changes our bylaws to enable hybrid resolutions. Now, the actual change to the bylaws is very specific, and it's dependent on the changes to the open meeting law. So, for example, the open meeting law says that if you attend the meeting remotely, you have to have some kind of reason for doing so. So we have to create a list of reasons. And the open meetings law and the borough president has given us a whole list of these possible reasons. But of course, at the hearing, we could add more or whatever. The other thing is that according to the open meetings law, if you are, attending virtually, for example, you have to stay home to take care of someone. It's a good example from the law. You have to be identifiable, visible, and audible the entire time, which sort of implies your face has to be on the screen the entire. I mean, if you're at a meeting, actually, that's sort of the case too. There you are, and everyone can see you. So they sort of want the same thing, but all these details will be in the bylaws because the bylaws, this bylaw change has to specify all these things. And we have a list which we could actually send out to you. That letter we got from the borough president's counsel, Adele Bartlett, explaining what the resolution has to say. So the resolution is actually rather pro forma, although there are things we might want to add. For example, I personally think, and others might also, and it's not one of the reasons that the law currently gives, if you have a serious concern about, contracting an illness at the meeting, that should be one of the reasons for you to be allowed to stay home. We could add that if that's what we want to do. And personally, I think we should. So that's what this is all about. So Catherine and I, and with the help of some other graybeards and such, will draft this relatively pro forma resolution, as you will see. And then and the board will get it in advance. There's no reason we can't publish the draft resolution on our website in advance so the public can see it too. At the night of the public hearing, we will discuss this draft resolution and improve upon it. And in order for us to have hybrid meetings, we then have to pass this resolution. The other decision we will have to make, but I think we've already made it, is we can have only hybrid general meetings, or we could allow all of our meetings to be hybrid. And I believe that's what we're planning to do. But there is a complication, and this is the key to this whole thing. There has to be an actual quorum of live people in a room someplace that the public may join. And unless you have a physical quorum, and this is true for committee meetings also, you cannot have a meeting, and the people who are attending the meeting remotely are not part of that quorum. They can vote, but they're not part of the quorum. So this is the law, and we will have to write a resolution. I don't know what Liz is shaking her head about, but I find the whole thing very strange myself. But we will create this resolution consistent with what the laws and the borough president has said this resolution should say. And then at the hearing, we will fine tune this resolution and ideally pass it. And then we will have hybrid meetings. Thank you.
I'm not shaking my head at you, Jim. I'm shaking my head at the legislature.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
I was
to
doing
stay,
that too.
thank you, Jim. And also I should have probably asked you to give just some context in terms of why this hearing is so important. So thank you for giving a really great summation on
Well,
that.
I hope this was helpful to everyone.
Yeah, so biggest thing is stay tuned for all of those materials that will be coming your way. Especially for new members, you're gonna get start to get a lot of emails if you're not already on our listserv. If there's any questions at all as well, like Jim said, we're gonna be kind of like organizing some of these logistics and the materials for the hearing. So feel free to just email either Jim, myself, and CC Eliezer. So the next part is, I kept talking about we got new people. Who are these new people? So quickly, I know that some of y'all may or may not be on here. Maybe, you're still kind of commuting. So if you're able to if you're comfortable and able to turn your camera on, feel free to do so. I do kind of just want to highlight some of our new members' names. And I am looking, sorry, I got a million attachments today. So looking for the names here. Oh, look at that. Thank you to our staff for sharing. All right. Is Jay Baez with us tonight? Jay Baez, if you're around. All right. If you're able to, you can unmute, say hi, show your face. If it's not, next month, if we're in person, we'll see you as well. Next up is Jacob Banis with us.
Hi, Catherine, Jacob. Nice to meet everyone. Excited to be here.
Welcome, Jacob. Do we have Hector Bonilla?
Yes, this is Hector Bonilla on the line. Super excited to be part of this. I've been trying to get on this for a while now, and I'm super excited. And I just want to thank everyone who helped me get to this position right now.
Cool. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
All right. We got James Bosley.
Hello, Catherine and everyone. I'm thrilled to be here, honored to be here, and I look forward to getting to know you all better.
Welcome. Thank you. Do we have Luis Cruz?
Good evening, everyone. I'm so glad and honored to be here. I was a public member, and now I'm going to be an official member. So I'm really excited about it.
Oh, great. What committee are you a public member with right now?
With Youth and Education, the Youth and Education Committee.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Welcome. And let's see who we got next. Okay, we have Mancita Diawara.
Hi, my name is Mancita Diawara. I'm excited to be working with you guys.
Welcome. Happy to have you.
Thank you.
Let's see. We got Kimberly McCoy. Kimberly, you around? All right, come back next time. Who am I missing? Oh, Carl Nekbu.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry for the mix up there, but yeah, so this is Carlo Negbo, and I'm happy to be a participant to join the board. And so I live in this area. I've been here for a couple years, actually over a decade. And so this is a good opportunity for me to participate in the affairs of the place. So I'm glad to join, and here I am reporting for duty. Thank you.
Absolutely. Welcome, Carl. And did I miss anyone else? I feel like I might have missed somebody. We have about 10 new members, which is a significant number for a body of 50 people. Like I said earlier, if there's going to be parts we may or may not understand, that's okay. Feel free to always raise your hands. We're happy to clarify. And just reminding folks, if you're with the board, you're speaking, just share quickly how long you've been on the board. And if you're in a chairship, feel free to share as well which committee you're on. All right, so next part of the report, still within Eliezer's report or the chair's report, is that we have a vacancies, I should say, for secretary and assistant secretary. So the time is 7:01. We're going to move into and I'm trying to think of the language on this, but we're basically going to move to open up the floor for nominations or self-nominations for the positions of secretary or assistant secretary if anyone is interested. Again, to highlight, really important, there are eligibility criteria in terms of attendance on the board. Secretary is a key role to keep us moving, and as per our bylaws, because our next elections are usually take place in December, we are opening up the floor now before the summer break. So for the role of secretary, is there anyone who would like to nominate themselves or nominate another individual? I see a hand. Whose hand is that?
It's Liz. Liz Britter's hand is
I'll
up.
go ahead, Liz.
I'd like to nominate Nobles Crawford for secretary.
Okay. Nobles, you around? You hear us?
I'll put my camera on for you, Liz. I humbly thank you for the nomination, but I respectfully decline. Thank you, though.
Okay. Daryl.
Yeah, hi, good evening, everyone. I would like to nominate Tanya Bonner.
Tanya, where's Tanya?
Thank you, Daryl Cochran, for thinking of me. I also would have to respectfully decline. You know, I have been doing secretarial duties since I got on the board, and still doing it. So I just would prefer, you know, that someone else step up to do that work. Thank you.
Thank you, Daryl. Tanya, let's see, are there any other hands, y'all? I'm also happy to take in the short time we have, if there are questions that folks have about the secretary position, really quickly. I know some folks are vets around the secretary role, essentially making, you know, tracking, there's both minutes for our general and exec meeting. There are attendance, right? So making sure that we're all in good standing, taking track of that during both general and exec meeting as well. And there is a support embedded within that, as I should say. Elsie?
Yeah, in terms of questions, I think it's about time that the secretary and the assistant secretary position will come with a benefit of only having another committee that those individuals are on, just like any other member of the executive committee. The secretary is doing so much work, more than really anyone else on the executive committee or the general meeting. So I think that should come with the benefit of only having one other committee other than the executive and general meeting, obviously.
That's always, that's the case.
Yeah, that's the case.
That's the case.
You are on two committees. So technically when I was the secretary, I was on three.
Well, you didn't need to have been. The executive committee
but nobody mentioned that, my point. It just, so maybe this is something to highlight because I didn't know about it, and I don't know if anyone else knew about it other than you, Liz, maybe a few others.
All officers, the executive committee is their second committee, and the chair isn't a member of any committee because the chair is a member of all the committees.
I understand that.
Their second
But that
committee.
wasn't clear, so maybe that has to be clear, more clear.
Yeah, so
Catherine.
prefacing it, yes, Liz is absolutely right. Your executive committee is your second committee. That's what it is. So go ahead.
If I could comment, so anyone who is interested or thinking of being secretary, it's an extremely important position. It's an extremely thankless position. As you know, you do have the benefit now of only being on one other committee. See, it's got perks. And you ready now? You get to sit in the front. So have I convinced anyone yet? No, but well, we have a system, and unfortunately, until we have an elected secretary, and we should really do that at some point. So try thinking of volunteering, if not tonight, next time. The two vice chairs are required to be secretaries in the meantime. So it's all been planned for, but it's not the ideal. So thank you.
Liz, go ahead, and then I'll wrap up.
I would like to nominate Bruce Robertson. He takes really good minutes.
I'm sorry, I have to decline. Thank you.
It looks like we're gonna have to try again next month. And to your point, OC, and for a lot of folks, I think next month we'll be, if we are in person or hybrid, we will share. I think that there is an opportunity to make the secretary role really special. Particularly being in person. This is also someone who, Richard, is that your hand up?
Yeah.
Almond? Okay. Go ahead, Richard.
Question. As best I understand the bylaws, there is a requirement of tenure on the board for serving as any officer. My question is to the parliamentarian, under what circumstances could we waive that?
Generally, we don't waive things in the bylaws, and fortunately, although I'm sure our first vice chair and second vice chair are not thrilled, we have a mechanism to get the minutes taken. But and let me just make a political statement. It's actually a philosophical statement. At this point in time, seriously, in our republic, we must cherish the rules we have and try to abide by them, because so many people are not doing that. So I would rather not waive anything if we don't have to, in the very broad sense.
In the spirit of all of that, I hope we'll keep that under consideration as something that might fit the moment.
Okay. Thank you, Richard. I'm gonna take the last hand for Daryl, and we'll move on.
Yeah, I guess my question was along the lines of Richard's, but instead of waiving it, we could change it, correct?
I mean, to Jim's point, it's in the bylaw. It's
We can amend the bylaws, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, bylaws are always
But
amendable.
The whole purpose of the 1 year requirement is that it's sort of hard to be a good secretary if you're brand new. And so you're supposed to have a little, something under your belt or whatever. So that's what it's there for. And I think the rationale for it is quite reasonable. And that would just expand the pool slightly to the new members. But I hope one of our current members who's been around for a while will suddenly get I've been the parliamentarian for God only knows how long. It hasn't killed me. So time to one of you to be the secretary.
Yeah. So we will, so I'll close. I mean, hearing no one who accepted this evening, will open up, I guess, next month again, taking into consideration. I would say, I know this might be for folks who do have about a year on the board or might be nearing a year or even thinking about secretary role. I understand on a live recorded meeting, it might be intimidating to raise that question. So I do urge you to email any of the elected officers, meaning me, Eliezer, Angel, Sally, if you do have a question around interest on that, and that can be, spoken privately. So that should conclude all the three big items of this evening from behalf of our chair. I will move forward with our district manager's report.
Good evening, Madam Chair. Thank you. Thank you. Always is a pleasure to be here as your district manager. I want to say also welcome to the new board members that started a week ago, more or less. So welcome to the board, and thank you very much. Because of you, we have a job here to do. I want to make an announcement or just a recommendation to the new board members. I only got your contact information Friday afternoon, and usually what I do is I call you immediately. I got your contact information to make sure that your name, your telephone number and emails is correct, and also which email you will prefer to for us to contact you. So we use the one that we got from the Board of President's office. However, I would like to speak with you, and we strongly recommend that you create a new email with CB12 on one point, dedicated to all the emails that we send to you, because it's going to be thousands of emails during the week, literally, because we send a lot of emails. So I will be calling you. If you have any question, please don't hesitate to call the office. Paola, Chinelo, myself, more than happy to assist you or answer any question that you may have. So I'm going to be contacting you shortly during this week and next week to verify your contact information. And once again, welcome. The construction of on 177th Street and Broadway, the southeast side, that intersection there, is a construction for the last 3 months, I will say, or maybe more. I received a lot of complaints regarding this construction, and nobody was supposed to be responsible, no city agency. I addressed the issue during the district service cabinet meeting last month, and no agency supposed it was taking responsibility or ownership of this construction. And I asked a favor to one of my contacts for the DCAS, and this morning I received a contact for that construction manager. It happens that there is some cash basin that's been installed, but it's not in the system. DOT did know about it, et cetera, et cetera. So finally, I got a number and at least what is happening there. And tomorrow, I plan to get in touch with those contractors to see how they can alleviate the chaos that is happening there every single day. I received a letter from the Department of Parks and Recreation announcing that there will be a public hearing on June 6th with intent to award as a concession the use, maintenance, and operation of roading facility at Sherman Creek, Manhattan. The concession is the M300-0, and that public hearing going to take place on June. If people interested in participating may dial the telephone number 646-893-7101. And anyone interested, let me know. We're probably going to be sending this out shortly for people have the information in their hands. I received an information today from the Department of Transportation Division of Bridges indicated that starting Tuesday, May 31st until Friday, June 3rd, there will be some work on the motorway bridge. As a result, the Manhattan bound and the Bronx bound right lanes will be closed during these days from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. The Department of Transportation sent us a letter today indicating that open street location has been approved for our district, and this location is West 211th Street between Vermilion Avenue and 10th Avenue, and the schedule is from Monday to Friday between 8:30 to 2:30 p.m. I believe I made mention of this correspondence that I received from DOT, but I want to mention very quickly in case, I don't know why I have it for today again, is a speed reducer on Bogartus Place between Hillside Avenue and Elwood Street is a good candidate for a speed bump. The Department of Transportation made the announcement. Finally, the calendar going to be sending out by the end of the week. Please make sure that you review the calendar, especially the committee chairs. Committee chairs make sure that the back of the calendar is correct with the agenda items that you would like to present, and you're going to be able to discuss, and also that the date and time of your committee meeting is correct. This meeting will be, this calendar going to be sent out by Friday, not later than Friday. This is the end of my report. Is there any question? I see Miss Maria Luna. Maria?
Hi, thank you so much. Your report claim that, you just says about 177th Street and Broadway. What type of construction are we talking about? Is that a building, a school? What is it there?
It's a cash basin. Cash basin on the street. They're working up in the street for the last 4 months. Mm-hmm.
Okay. A second thing, have you heard anything about the elevators on the 184th Street? That the 3 elevators, I read that on the local, whatever. That is, they are not working. Is anything that is happening? Is it's really a very serious situation.
I can provide
Yes.
info during my update as well, in addition to Ebenezer.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, we received a notification on by the end of April, asking to be indicating that there will be enhancement of the 88 access to that train station, and they were asked to be at the June transportation committee. We sent it to the chairwoman of that committee, and she's going to have it. And before you know, they started the construction, and I saw what you saw on TV as well myself.
No, Ebenezer, it's 2 different things, but I can address later or now as people prefer.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
I also have a separate comment, but I'm after Liz, I think.
Liz?
Yeah, can you just clarify that announcement that you made about a rowing concession at Sherman Creek? So that's going to be an RFP, or can you explain what that is?
Yes, this is a request. But I have the one parks here. We received today, this letter is a notice of joint public hearing on June 6th with the intent to award as concession the use, maintenance, and operation of rowing facility at Sherman Creek. It's a public hearing that they're going to have. We get it from the Director of Revenue Communication from Parks Department.
And does it
So it's a
state
notice.
who the intended awardee is?
Yes, that's what it says. Intended to.
Yes, but does it state who the intended awardee is? Who is it being
No.
awarded to?
Maybe they intend to award it as a concession for the use of maintenance. They're going to select from the people that have applied already, submit the bid.
Can you send that to me, please?
Yes, we're going to send it out. We're going to send it to everybody.
Thanks.
Yes. Next question. Debbie?
So I'll just, first why my hand was up. There had been a lot of back and forth, and Ebenezer, you did some work chasing this information down about when the work on the viaduct would complete on Riverside Drive in the 150s, heading up towards the lower 160s. And there was this, they kept saying something about a June date. But we've also just been notified that moving to the east side of Riverside Drive just got pushed one more week to May 31st to start the next phase. And I would bet anything the next phase is not 4 weeks long. And furthermore, in that notice, it mentioned that's what it would be until the end of 2022. So, I mean, I'll certainly follow up with DOT, but again, it's not looking to me that that's going to go through just June. It looks like it's got quite some time to go. And then just to clarify, and I can touch upon it more later, in my update, the escalators in 181st Street East Station, notoriously always broken, always being repaired, have finally closed for full replacement. However, while we were glad that that capital project did get funded, and we knew it had gotten funded after first thinking we were going to lose it to the pandemic harms to capital budgets, we were never told like, hey, it's starting on Monday. So we all found out when people started taking pictures of the signs in the subway. The MTA has apologized to us, but on the other hand, it's not clear that their government-facing people were told either. I suspect this is a little, it sort of reflects the fact that if people remember some years ago, the capital teams, project teams for LIRR, Metro North, New York City Transit were all consolidated in one central location. And I think because of that, we are not hearing about things necessarily in the way we used to when it would just all came directly from New York City Transit. We will certainly be discussing it more at the June meeting when they will be at the Traffic and Transportation Committee, as Ebenezer said, to present that station finally becoming ADA accessible. So again, I would say just more comments when we get to mine, but. So Ebenezer, if we could just figure out with Valerie Torchin, like what is the date? I think it's about time.
Yes. I follow up last month during the District Service Committee meeting and this month as well. Last month, they said they don't have a date. That the date for June 22nd that they have, it will not happen. They don't have any date when this construction going to be completed. And I follow up last month, I follow up this month, and I'm going to do it next month, but they don't have a date. It looks like this project going to continue a little longer until this phase is finished and the next phase is started. I will keep you posted.
Thanks, Ebenezer.
All right, and the last one for Ebenezer, Sally.
Sally?
Yes, just to clarify regarding the Sherman Creek, this was a sole source concession. It was not competitively bid, and the intended awardee is Row, New York. And I would ask Ebenezer if you could send me a copy of that email as well.
We're gonna email to everyone. We're gonna do that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. God bless you all.
Thank you, Ebenezer. So next on our agenda, we have updates from elected officials or from their representatives. So this is, prime time for us to kind of hear about what's happening from them related to our neighborhood. And then we also have a small amount of time devoted to ask any questions we may have on that or anything else. And that's for board members specifically. So I'm going to call them as I remember them coming in. So we have Damaris Rodriguez, the Chief of Staff for Assemblymember Manny de los Santos.
And there is a time limit, right?
Yes, there is, Daryl.
Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. Thank you for having me. So I wanted to report, I'm Damaris Rodriguez. I am the Chief of Staff for Assemblymember Manny de los Santos. Currently, our district office is servicing approximately 120 constituents per week. Throughout the district, the assembly member has been doing meet and greets to be able to meet his constituents and also find out about their concerns. He's also been doing collaborations and partnering with Congressman Adriano Espaillat and Councilwoman Carmen de la Rosa on doing various meet and greets as well. Coffee, come have some coffee with your assembly member, congressman, and councilwoman. Also through our first, we got to have our first introductory mailer to our the constituents in our district, District 72. And we received plenty of information back regarding issues and concerns in the community. Some of the major concerns are public safety and quality of life, which the assembly member is now working closely with the NYPD, as well as Mayor Eric Adams and the Mayor Eric Adams to address these concerns. Also, he's been working closely with the mayor and governor to support legislation that will help reduce excessive speeding and implement new additional cameras near schools and also senior centers, especially now that the weather is heating up and summertime is around the corner. There tends to be a lot of motorcyclists and a lot of vehicles that like to speed around this time. So they're working closely to add additional cameras. Also in the short time frame that the assembly member has been here, which is only 3 months, he was able to pass 2 bills so far. One bill, A9764, it renames and redefines the Office of Minority Health to the Office of Health Equity, as well as the Minority Health Council to Health Equity Council, which is a more inclusive name for all. And also bill number A10163, it extends the authority of the Department of Environmental Conservation in relation to managing ill wife. Also, this next week will be the last week of legislation in Albany. It ends June 2nd. If all bills pass, it might be a little extended, but they're not sure yet. So there are many bills that the assembly member has co-sponsored, continues to fight for. He's still fighting for the good cause eviction that would limit rent increases for market rate apartments and give most tenants a right to lease renewal. And another bill would address fair pricing for services at hospitals. Those are just a few of the bills that they've been fighting to co-sponsor on, that he's been fighting to be co-sponsor on. Also this weekend on Sunday, it's Dominican Mother's Day. So he will be passing by. Okay, I'm sorry. He will be passing by to just honor all the mothers, Dominican mothers, and say hello and salute. So, and that will be at the Plaza de las Americas next to United Palace. That's all. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Damaris. Are there any questions for Damaris and Assembly Member Manny de los Santos? Okay, hearing none. Thank you, and we'll see you next month. I don't see our Deputy VP here yet, so I'll move on to our next. Oh, I do. Oh, I'm sorry, Keisha. I see you now.
Thank
Oh,
you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well,
Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate you. I appreciate the opportunity, obviously, to be here with all of you tonight. Unfortunately, the borough president has literally 14 things on his calendar tonight. So thank you for having me. Here we go. So in terms of talking about appointments, the borough president and we all, frankly, are thrilled to welcome our new cohort of community board members to CB12. I know that he feels very strongly, having personally served on his community board, for many years. On this community board for many years, how important the work is, and thanks each and every one of you for stepping up for the difficult but extremely necessary work ahead. We all want to sincerely thank several people, Glennis Aquino, Ashley Fernandez, Paradise Phoenix, Eda Santiago, Curtis Young, Waldes Cruz, Mariel Ali, and Rosie Perez for their service to this board and the role that each of you has played to improve the community. We also hope that each of you will continue, each person will continue to be engaged, and hope to have all of you as public members and to see all of you serve in other facets of community, of course. We also want to make sure to acknowledge and thank the late Elizabeth Lehman and Omar Tejada for their service as well. But we're excited, and our office has received, as each of you know, I think from prior meetings, that we received a record number of applications. And it was an honor, frankly, to run through a comprehensive review of all of our applicants, including reapplicants, which enabled us to get to know, current board members in a new and different way. So we welcome back all of our reappointments and congratulate everyone on their reappointments, and also want to, we're looking forward to seeing, the new talent in our new members. And so I want to give them shout outs as well. Mancita Diawara, Hector Bonilla, Maria Del Valle, Kimberly McCoy, Carl Enugbu, Luana Ferreira, Luis Cruz, James Bosley, Jay Baez, and Jacob Banas. I saw many of you in there off screen. I want to see faces, but I'm excited to see you in there. Hi, Jacob, I see you. So we're thrilled that each of you is joining, and really looking forward to the contributions that you'll be making to the board. CB12 and Manhattan have an abundance of talent and a number of diverse perspectives that we are encouraging. And we, because each and every one of you brings your special perspective, and we're looking forward to hearing from every one of you, existing and reappointed or not having had to be reappointed members this round, as well as new members. Each of you, of course, will be put to good use, and we want to make sure that that happens. A few more stats on the brand new members of Manhattan Community Boards as a whole, just to kind of give you a sense of what Trisha and team have been working hard on all this the last several months. Of the 319 newly appointed members, 91 are first-time appointees. Of the 91 first-time appointees, 70% identify as BIPOC, including a greater percentage of individuals who identify as African-American, Hispanic/Latinx, and API Manhattanites. 48% of the first-time appointees identified as women, 42 as men, and 1% identified as gender nonconforming. 26.4 of the new appointees are under the age of 30, with 6 individuals falling under the age of 20. We very much encourage young people to bring their voices, because obviously their voices and experiences are very different from us old folks. 79% of first-time appointees do not own a car, a percentage that closely aligns with Manhattan communities as a whole. 40% of new appointees live in rental units across the borough, compared to less than 30% having some sort of ownership stake in their domicile. This representation, as you can imagine, is crucial as we work to address our affordability crisis in Manhattan. So we're really, as our first year making appointments, we've made some strides, and looking forward to, furthering help diversify the community boards in the years to come. I just want to give a shout out to Porfirio and all the members of the community affairs team for the immense amount of work that went into studying and understanding each application, as well as the interviews, et cetera, et cetera. Moving on to open meetings law, everyone's favorite topic. As I'm sure you know, last month the VP Mark Levine was joined by fellow Manhattan Borough presidents, and also the month before. This has been an ongoing conversation to call upon the governor and the state legislature to offer a permanent hybrid option for our community boards. The state budget, as you probably know, included an agreement to allow for hybrid options, and because of an emergency order recently extended by the governor, the boards can remain fully virtual at least to June 14th. BP Levine, yes, June 14th, yes. BP Levine will continue. I love Liz's excitement. We'll continue to work with our community boards to ensure that the open meetings law aligns with the needs of the borough as a whole, and frankly, the city. To be able to participate in hybrid meetings, of course, though, boards must draft procedures and that will follow and comply with the law. And these procedures must be, as a reminder, I'm sure you know this, but as a reminder, must be presented at a public hearing and then adopted by resolution of the full community board. And that would need to be done before the 14th. So we recommended that these boards pass these resolutions while you're still able to meet remotely for ease. It should be noted, of course, that in-person attendance requirements will not apply during the declared disaster emergency by a city or state body, provided that the board passes a resolution finding that the disaster in question impedes its ability to hold in-person meetings. Moving on to cannabis. The office is in the process of developing a cannabis equity initiative that will cover several different, will manifest, I'll say, in several different areas, including advocacy, community education, several others, but right now focus on the community education. We've so far partnered on 2 cannabis forums. We're trying to ensure that we partner with every community board on a cannabis forum, and multiple in the parts of the borough that were more adversely affected by prior marijuana laws. So Uptown, Lower East Side. Tomorrow, we have the great fortune of partnering with New York Urban League, Columbia Law School, CB's 12 and 9. I feel like I'm missing, I think, the Kappas. We're partnering with the Kappas. Thank you. I've been so ingrained in this, I can't believe I forgot about the Kappas. No, it's not the Kappas. Is it the Kappas? Sorry.
Adriano Espaillat as well.
Yes. Oh, sorry, Adriano Espaillat's office as well, on a cannabis forum that's going to be taking place tomorrow at 6:30 at the forum at Columbia University on 125th Street. And that will also be live streamed. Porfirio, would you do me a favor and drop in the chat the link to register for that? We're really, really, really encouraging people, in particular people who have been justice impacted around, prior marijuana laws, who have, prior conviction, to come out and learn what the opportunities are. But even if you don't, there'll be, not just we'll not just be focusing on the opportunities for licenses, but also, frankly, auxiliary opportunities. New York Urban League will be doing a bit of a job fair, some tabling around, specifically focused on opportunities for returning citizens. So please register, come, share broadly. And there will be food. So, even more reason to come. A brief COVID update. Last week, New York officially moved from medium risk to high or orange COVID alert status. This is due to the rising number of Omicron and subvariant cases currently in the city. The Department of Health is recommending being vaxxed and boosted, wearing a mask indoors, and particularly indoors where, more congested and populated spaces, and to consider avoiding higher risk gatherings. Additionally, every household can order another round of free home tests, COVID tests from the federal government. Even if you've ordered once before or twice before, you will receive 8 more tests by mail. So just go to covidtests.gov or call 800-232-0233. Okay, for some reason, my screen is showing me lots of Liz Ritter, and she's got her COVID test. Yay, Liz. I have a bin over here that has 8 of them in it, just in case, because I've got a family of 4. So, stock up. If you need COVID tests, please, you can also contact our office. We will be distributing more as well. So please don't hesitate to reach out to either us or covidtest.gov. Monkeypox update. As if we didn't have enough with COVID. As of today, we have 1 patient presumed to have a positive case of monkeypox, pending their sample being tested at the CDC, with that patient in isolation. The New York City Department of Health advises that mask wearing can protect against monkeypox, and that anyone experiencing flu-like symptoms, swelling of the lymph nodes, and a rash should contact a doctor. And then finally, moving on to the baby formula shortage, which is, I'm well past this phase of life, but it stresses me out to no end, frankly. I want to acknowledge the nationwide shortage of infant formula. In response, the borough president released a comprehensive list of available WIC formulas, expanded by New York State, as well as the list of recalled formulas and a list of New York City food banks currently accepting donations from families with unexpired baby formulas. So please, if you know of anybody who has unexpired formula, who they can get it off their hands, it'd be really amazing if they were to donate it to the food bank. I know someone on our staff spent an entire day going from store to store looking for formula for her daughter, and it's totally unconscionable. I also want to remind Manhattanites that price gouging, of course, is illegal. And if you find pharmacies if you see formula being sold past their retail value, please report it to the New York State AG's office, which you can access through our newsletter as well. And that is all I have to report.
Oh, okay, good. Because I was like, I have hands for you, so I want to make sure we can. No, there's questions for you, so I want to make sure we have enough time. Actually, there's only 2 hands right now. So we got Jay Mazer and Aisha. Go ahead, Jay.
This is, I guess, a bookkeeping question. I don't know about the other reappointees, but I was never officially informed that I was reappointed by the borough president's office. I did, however, see the borough president's press release, which listed all the appointees to the various community boards in Manhattan. This is a different procedure than I've ever experienced before. I don't know whether it was just a bookkeeping mistake that I didn't get the letter or no one received one.
So everyone who was reappointed this cycle should have received one. And so I'm just checking our full roster. You reapplied and were reappointed this year. You were not, you're not last year.
That's right.
Okay. So you should have gotten a letter, and I will, Porfirio and I will check in on that and make sure that it's not a paper letter, it was an email. That it is.
Neither, I got neither.
Okay, we'll make sure that that gets to you. I'm glad that you are here, uh, because you should have gotten a letter.
Aisha.
Good evening, everyone. My question, first of all, I just want to make the statement that I applaud the borough president's office for the great efforts and the results of bringing in a diversified body of new appointees. That's exciting to hear. I have a question in regards to methodology. Where one specific thing is concerned is one of the first things as the transition to the new BP office that we heard was going to be a part of vetting new members, which is whether they have a car or not. So the reason why I ask is because no two car owners are made the same. In this gig economy and in this time of the pandemic, cars for some people have been vital for people to have access to employment and to help uplift people out of sometimes poverty. I can speak to that experience myself. Because of a car, I've been able to be a trainer in the field of technology for major corporations like Microsoft, Google, Samsung, Canon, Nintendo, all up and down the East Coast. I would not have been able to do so without a car. And it would be disheartening that that would be something that would weigh against me being a member of 8 years, if that having a car would make me less desirable as a member when it has afforded my family the benefit of, basically uplifting and having access to resources and money to pay for bills. So I just wanted to put that on the record. And curious about how it all had, how it did work. Thank you.
I really appreciate your flagging that, frankly. I'm sure, frankly, as Chris and our policy team really thinks about our transportation policy as a whole, that he and our entire team are taking that into consideration. No one factor was weighed more heavily than another. We kind of took all of these pieces into account to understand who people are. I'd say that the most important thing we were looking from our applicants was engagement in community as a whole, and an ability to, at least engagement in the community as a whole, a demonstrated ability to work well with others, so that we could have really productive community boards where every voice is respected, honored, and that every person would have an opportunity to contribute to their the fullest of their abilities, which is a very high priority for our office, and frankly is part of the reason that if you haven't already heard about it and haven't already participated in an onboarding, for those who are returning or who are new, that you will hear more about in the onboarding sessions around conflict of interest, around EEO policy, around a code of conduct. That you'll be hearing more about these things, and that was a significant part of how we looked at applicants, and then all of the other elements of diversity, including type of home that was owned, bicycle versus pedestrian versus car owner versus whatever it might be, were factors, if you will, data points, but not a determining factor. And I should say that we're thinking about how to hone in, if you will, a little better on that set of questions to understand, because you know that the borough president's resiliency is a high priority for the borough president, but equity is as well. It's the public health, resiliency, and equity are the three top priorities. So understanding how to get to those questions and understand the weight that people, how people move around the city and use transportation or don't use transportation with a lens towards equity is what we're trying to perfect. So I appreciate your flagging that, and I think that you'll see different types of questions and maybe some narrative next year.
Thank you, Keisha. We have one last hand from a new member. His name's Luis. After Luis, you can respond to this question, then we're going to move forward just because we do have some other.
I'm so sorry. I'm
folks from
taking
other
too long with
offices.
my answers. So
Stop
sorry.
it. We got you every month. We hope it's not the first or the last,
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Luis.
Porfirio had his hands up from Borough President. I'm sorry about
Yes. No, I know. But I want to, so he can hear Luis as well. Go ahead, Luis.
So, I don't know whose this question will be addressed, but I will ask the question. So, we are having a problem in our community, and I would like to bring this to your attention. So, I would like to know what needs to be done in order for the speed cameras to be installed in 155th Street near PS 28. That's one of the concerns of the parents has every morning, the cars over speeding.
Got it. Is this an issue that that your transportation committee has been before the transportation committee? It has.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Luis, thank you for raising that. This is also a good time. Sometimes it does pop up with electeds, but you're gonna hear from our other committee chairs, and you'll get the calendar too, and you can direct, and they'll make a note of that and get in touch with you so that at their next meeting, in our case, traffic and transportation, it could be discussed.
Okay, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. And thanks for stepping up. Porfirio, you got something urgent before I move forward?
It's just very quick. We did directly reach out to Jay Missoura. I did it personally myself, and so he should check his email. That's all I wanted to say. As far as the car thing goes, it's just for data and nothing else.
Well, thank you so much, Keisha, for coming. You brought such vital new information. June 14th. That stuck in my brain. We were thinking the 9th earlier on. So thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you too. We're gonna move on to, who did I see? Jamila, what I saw earlier. If you're gonna be speaking on behalf of an elected, if you could please use the
Yes, it's me.
function. All right, Jamila, welcome, and introduce whose office you're with too for new folks.
Yes. I'm Jamila Sandoval, Director of Community Affairs for Councilwoman Carmen De La Rosa. Thank you for having me. I want to start first with legislative updates. She has joined and introducing a legislative with Councilwoman Sanchez from the Bronx to raise inspection fees for certain housing inspections. The bill would raise the fees for certain complaint-based housing inspections where multiple heat and hot water or immediate hazardous violations have been issued from $200 to $500. It will also provide the New York City Department of Housing and Preservation and Development the authority to raise the fees to a maximum of $1,000. So for anybody who has issues within their apartment with heat and hot water, which is something that we see a lot in our community, this can be reported to HPD through our office or through 311. And hopefully with this new legislative, there will be fines each time there's a call about that. Also, as you guys know, Carmen is the chair of the Civil Service and Labor Committee, and she has introduced 3 new pieces of legislation. Resolution 131 is to call on Wendy's to join the Fair Food Program. For farmers under the Fair Food Program are participating growers, and is to encourage Wendy's to participate in this program and to stand with the farm workers and demand that they ensure that Wendy's ensures farm workers who provide produce to them with benefits and wages and work conditions that they deserve. The second one is 232, Introduction 232, asking for to establish a task force designated to study the gender pay disparities and economic self-sufficiency among the labor force in New York City. And then the third one is the residential parking permit system for the Northern Manhattan. We know how hard parking it is to find it in Upper Manhattan, especially. So this would be for to set up a system that establishes legal priority for our residents when it comes to parking. In terms of the community updates, we have had our office open for the last few days. This last month has been our official opening, and it has been full blown effect. We have had constituents day in and day out from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And we're just so happy that we're able to give them a space to come and meet with us and discuss anything that they need. We had our Mother's Day event this past weekend. It was at PS 048. It was great. We had a panelist of different women to come and speak about their womanhood, their motherhood, and their path and their careers. And we were able to also raffle off a two-way ticket, a round trip ticket for JetBlue Airways. So it was really fun to see all the parents come, and we had a resource fair with all the organizations within our community, and they were able to come with their kids as well to learn about that. Tomorrow, we're having a very important way, as many of you guys know. Coogan's is no longer part of our community, but there will be now. We're having a street coning name. It's going to be called the Coogan's Way on 169th Street on Broadway. We're going to have that celebration and reveal tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. I've shared this with the community board office so that you guys can get it, and obviously extend the invitation to you guys as well. So we hope to see you guys there. And if you have any questions for me, please let me know.
Thank you. I knew Steve was going to raise his hand. Steve, and then Liz.
Jamila, as the second longest tenured customer in the history of Coogan's, I'm very happy about this street renaming, and I'm expecting that there's going to be a huge turnout of people. Are you going to be able to close the street? Because I can't believe that that we're all going to be able to fit on that street corner.
I 100% agree, Steve. We are anticipating a lot of people. Unfortunately, we're not able to close the street. It's something that we spoke with the 33. We're going to try to have barricades to allow people to stay off the streets and just stay on the sidewalk. But we're having a program. We're hoping to keep it to an hour, maybe an hour and a half, because there is a celebration at the Armory after. But no street closure, unfortunately.
Oh gosh! All right.
Hi, can I
know,
say
pray
something?
for us.
This is Maria Luna.
Hold on, Maria. Maria, wait. Liz had her hand up first.
I'm sorry. I just touched on that closing the street. The 33 is involved in the organizing and also protecting the people that are going to be present. The permit did not come to them on time to put together, changing on the buses, lines, and things like that. That's the reason why the street cannot be closed. All right. So the permit was not requested on time by whoever was putting this thing together.
Yeah, we did not request for the street to be closed. No, that wasn't a request.
Right.
We're just asking for them to bring barricades. We did ask for a sound permit, and that's all we are working with the 33. We're just asking for barricades so that we can have some type of control over the street.
Liz?
I am so sorry I have to go. Thank you very much. I am going to leave all of you in the capable hands of my very excellent committee Assistant Chair Nobles Crawford, and I gave him a list of things to report on. Nobles, check your inbox. And one of the things that he probably won't say is that he's fabulous. So I'm telling you, he's fabulous, and I'm very grateful. And thank you all. Bye.
All right, thanks, bye, Liz. Thank you, Jamila. That was the last hand. So we will see you next time.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. So next up is Jodalis Morang from Senator Robert Jackson's office.
Hi, everyone. Good evening and welcome to the new CB12 board members. So my name is Jodalis and I'm the Deputy Chief of Staff at Senator Robert Jackson's office. I'll start off with some Albany updates. So the New York State legislative session is scheduled to end next week. Senator Jackson has been working very hard to continue to push legislation and advocate for all of us. Two recent bills that have passed the Senate that I'd like to highlight is Bill S-1979, which provides pricing transparency for electric bills so consumers and small businesses can better predict future increases and adjust consumption accordingly. As well as, and as a direct result of fires in our district, we were especially pleased about passing Bill S-6089, which requires landlords and property managers to ensure their properties are comply with safety and fire codes. Today, the Adult Survivor Act and Dyslexia Task Force also passed the legislature. Senator Jackson was proud to push for their successful passage. The legislature also passed the bill to expand speed cameras, a safety measure that the senator has been championing for quite some time. Reducing improving working conditions for nurses and passing the good cost eviction are among his legislative priorities. And yesterday, Senator Jackson partnered with Senator Horman in Equality New York for a press conference on New York Says Gay and Trans to promote their legislation for inclusive curriculum in public schools. As it pertains to the district, we've also been very busy. We held a successful Screegery Clinic in Inwood earlier this month. If anyone is experiencing a disability or 65 years of age and older, have questions about freezing their rent, please feel free to call our district office at 212-544-0173, and we'd be glad to help. We also partner with Ryan Health and the YMYWHA on Nago Avenue and had a very successful vaccination and blood pressure testing event last week targeting seniors. We've also been distributing several COVID test kits all along or all over Uptown. We'll be on 175th Street A-Train next on June 2nd. And in terms of upcoming events in the district, we are having a community event at the park on June 3rd in honor of National Gun Violence Awareness Day, and details will be forwarded to CB12 very soon. We were having a shredding event at Inwood Hope Park with Assemblyman Al Taylor on June 18th. And also we've sent some information to CB12 about a submissions for our youth, call for submissions for a youth art showcase. That's in partnership with Gun Violence Prevention Task Force. Inwood and Washington Heights youth, 6th to 12th grades are encouraged to submit their work. Our theme is art and gun violence prevention, highlighting how art, movements, and interventions led by youth can influence the public's thinking and action on the issue of gun violence. Our first deadline is June 10th, and that is all for my update. Stay safe, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. You have one hand, Aisha.
Hi, I was very involved in the efforts for the Housing Stability and Tenant Protection Act of 2019, which I was very excited to be there when that legislation was delivered to our state. I'm wondering, as this legislative session is coming to a close and Senator Jackson is pushing for the inclusion of some of the bills that we would have wanted to pass in 2019 and other bills, are there still opportunities for people to get engaged and maybe go to Albany the way that we did in 2018 and 2019? And where can people find that information?
That's a great question, Aisha. I believe that there certainly is. I know that on May 31st, this is not sponsored through our office, but I know that there's a group of folks who are going down to Albany for good cause. And so I'm happy to forward that information on to you. Or I can give you sorry, there's no chat function here, but I can give you my email address and we can chat. So that's moran@newyorksenate.gov.
Thank you.
For all of your advocacy.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much, Jodalis. We will see you next time. I almost forgot, but next up we have Lori for Congressman Adriano Espaillat's office. After Lori, we will be going to the public session. So if you're a member from the public, we are almost coming your way. Lori, you still with us? I see Ellie has her hand up. So I didn't realize, sorry, Ellie, that you were speaking to me. Is that you, Lori?
Yes. Shall I continue?
Yes, go ahead.
Good evening. This is Lori Tobias Cohen. I am with Congressman Espaillat since the beginning, and I am currently one of the staff at the district office on 720 West 181st Street, and we'd be thrilled for some of you to drop in. And I'm pleased to share with you, we have boxes and boxes of at-home test kits if anyone is in need and would like to just come by and pick some up. I'm also very pleased to share with you that the community project funding and historic omnibus appropriations agreement for 2022 enabled the congressman to secure $11.5 million for projects in the district. Some of the highlights are a brand new kitchen for the senior center of ARC XVI that will be opening up in a building on the corner of Audubon and 181st Street. And these monies will allow that kitchen to be completely built out to provide hot meals for the seniors there and at the related senior center in Harlem. The cloth, who I'm the organization I'm sure you're all familiar with, their food pantry applied and has received $750,000. That check was already delivered. And the Yeshiva University Weisberg Commons is receiving $1 million to completely renovate that site. Many of you, including myself, may have gotten your initial COVID vaccinations there. It was open to the community. It hosted the vaccination site for months and months, and I speak knowing Yeshiva University and how deeply they want to provide more such services for the community. The congressman, you may have seen pictures of Mayor Adams getting a manicure or a pedicure, excuse me, in Inwood. That was part of a tour organized by Congressman Espaillat, and he's trying very hard to make sure that the mayor stays focused on our neighborhood and on the district. The congressman was pleased to help pass the supplemental funding bill to address this hideous shortage of baby formula and to enable the major shipment of formula that came in from Europe just a few days ago, and there will be many more such shipments coming in. He goes into detail on his website, about how this came to happen, but you can, turn your attention to that if that's of interest. The congressman took the lead in organizing a major rally on May 14th to protest the presumed upcoming actions, excuse me, on the part of the Supreme Court to limit a woman's right to an abortion. And I know that all of you have been following this with avidity and horror as we see this unfolding around the country. And there was also a march at around the same time. It was Bennett, I don't know how many of you have been to Bennett Park. Bennett Park was packed. It was, people came out to support this action and to protest what is happening in our society. To get to something more positive, I'm pleased to share with you that there will be a number of upcoming coffees with your congressman. They're taking place mostly on Saturdays. There are 2, and you're welcome just to either look on the website, call us at the office at your convenience, and we'll happy to give you more information. And we have as special guests the legislators, people like Carmen, Sean Abreu, Diane Ayala, and Jeff Dinowitz, Al Taylor, and others who are joining the congressman in greeting constituents all over our district. Okay, so there was one this past Saturday. There's another one coming up, and they continue until June 30th. Please feel free to reach out to us for further information. And I think that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. You have one hand, Tanya.
Hi, Lori. How you doing? You may not have an answer for this, and I understand, but is there any word on the status of our community's request to have a hearing, public hearing on the what was previously a renaming of the community that is now a different, now a historic district proposal?
Okay, all right,
is because we've been waiting to hear back about that.
I can't, forgive me, I can't speak to whether there's going to be, quote, a public hearing. What I can unpack a little bit is that, number one, Congress members do not have the authority to change the names of a neighborhood or a district. What was proposed was the adding of what is really a descriptor to the existing names of the various neighborhoods that were in question, okay? That is now no longer being undertaken by the congressman. And as you may know, there was the Plaza, Cascaya Plaza in Inwood on Dykeman. So we do see a clear representation of the indigenous name of our many, many, many neighbors from the Dominican diaspora. But there are no nefarious activities being planned to impose a singular identity, shall we say, on the community. With regard to your question as to some kind of event, let's speak privately, and I'll see where we go with that and how I can help.
Sure. No, it was just something that we had requested, and that was something I think our office was working on, and we had just not heard anything back about the status of it because CB9 had already done a hearing, and we had also requested a hearing as well, and that's why I was inquiring about the status of it, because it was something that was already being worked on, supposedly. So I just wanted to know if you knew, but obviously, I don't
know.
Okay, no problem.
I'm happy to try to find out.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Lori.
To Ebenezer, my pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Sonia. Ellie, are you still have an announcement to share?
Yes.
Ellie?
Hi, Catherine. Yes, I'll be super brief because I do want to respect everyone's time. I'm just going to briefly introduce myself. Good evening, everyone. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Ellie Silvestre, and I'm here on behalf of the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, Albany Bragg's office. Welcome to all the new members. It's going to be a pleasure to getting to know all of you and working alongside you. If you need anything, have any questions or concerns in regards to the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. One of the things that I wanted to share with all of you tonight is that DA Bragg actually announced or is starting a series of conversations with experts on different topics at the forefront of the criminal justice system. The first one of these conversations was hosted last week, and it was about human trafficking. It was such a wonderful conversation. It was led by DA Bragg, and I really look forward to continue inviting all of you to these type of conversations. I believe the next one is going to be hosted next month, and it's going to be with experts regarding and about our post-conviction unit. And I think the third one is going to be about hate crimes. So if you are interested in connecting with me, and if you are interested in being part of our emailing list, and make sure you get all of the invitations to all of these series of conversations that we're having, please reach out to me so I can add you onto the list. With that being said, I also want to announce to everyone within CB12 and of course our public that my office is always available to host any different types of conversations and presentations in regards to the criminal justice system, whether that is hate crimes, domestic violence, gun violence. If you're interested in coordinating some type of special conversation or presentation with my office, please reach out to me, because we want to make sure we are reaching into those spots that we are not currently having conversations with. So please connect with me, and I will be more happy to coordinate those. These presentations / conversations are available not only for adults, we can also have them in high school, middle school, because we can rearrange our curriculum to make sure we are having the kind of conversations that we need to be having. The next thing that I wanted to bring up to all of you is, asking the support of CB12 to assist in spreading the word of our next gun buyback event. 2 months ago, we had our first one of the year in Washington Heights in collaboration with Senator Jackson's office. The second one of this year is going to be hosted in Harlem. I do understand that it's not under the purview of CB12. However, one gun off the street is a potential life saved. And, we worked really closely with CB12, Senator Jackson's office, and other elected officials to spread the word for the one we had in March in Washington Heights. And I really hope everyone can join me in the efforts in spreading the word. The next gun buyback event is going to be hosted on Saturday, June 25th, from 10 to 4 a.m. It is a no questions asked event. I ask everyone to please assist me in spreading the word. We have the flyers available in English, Spanish, Chinese, Arabic, and I believe French. And some of the frequent questions that frequently we get asked is can someone else turn in a gun for me on my behalf? Yes, someone can turn in a gun for you on your behalf. How does it look like, the process? When you walk in, someone from my office, typically, or hopefully me, is going to walk you inside. You're gonna be escorted to a specialist from the NYPD. He or she is going to inspect the gun. You're going to receive a ticket. You have a seat and just wait for your number to be called. You get a gift card, depending what kind of gun. The gift card can be up to $500 and I believe all the way down to 50. So we have increased the amount and we hope everyone can join me in this efforts in spreading the word. If anyone has any questions, I'm sticking around.
Thank you, Ellie. I don't see any hands
Eileen,
from members
Colombia.
in relation, but feel free to share. Sorry, who's that?
I see a hand raised. I'm not sure if
Yes, I'm not part of the board, but I am presenting later. I don't see the events. Thank you for your presentation. I don't see the events on the DA website. Could you share your email, or how do we reach out to you to?
Yes, I will give you my email. I see that it's not a chat option, but my email is my last name, SILVESTRE, and then another E for Ellie, at Danny, DANY.NYC.gov. So I encourage everyone to please reach out to me. We do post these kind of conversations on our Twitter page. However, we also send an e-blast email, so please just connect with me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, thank you, Ellie. So Carolyn, I know you're giving a presentation. I'm gonna, if it's okay with you, we only have a few members from the public speaking tonight on some of the issues on our agenda. We'll move to them and then you can wrap up our public session. Thank you so much. So we're gonna move now to the public session. And so again, public session is for anyone from the general public who wants to share something out loud verbally with the board. Again, issues, questions, concerns, events, you name it, people have said it at the board meetings during the public session. Folks have to sign up before or during the Q&A. I'm giving some context for new members and folks watching. So people sign up and then you have 2 minutes to speak. We will time you and we will unmute you. For board members, oftentimes a lot of folks wear multiple hats, are involved in events that they want to share. Board members can only speak during the public session on behalf of a group, right? So let's say there's something happening on your block that you're worried about. The public session isn't the time during the meeting for you to share that, right? Like if there's something on your block that you're worried about, you bring that up at the committee. That might happen naturally during discussion of items, even during our general meeting, how it happened today. So normally that's in the committee. Public session, we really want to reserve that time for members of the public, right? We see each other at least 3 times a month. We have the opportunity to speak. So this is our time to listen. So with that said, first up will be Allegra Legrand. Let me find her.
She just has to unmute herself. That's
yep.
Yes. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Allegra, we can hear
Okay.
you. You can go ahead.
Thank
Time
you.
starts now.
Hi, my name is Dr. Allegra Legrand. I've been an Inwood resident for 20 years, and I've got 2 kids in public schools in New York City. And I'm a climate scientist. I work at NASA Goddard Institute of Space Studies and an adjunct at Columbia. And during this 20 years of working there, I get to work seasonally. Every day I go into work, I take the Hudson River Greenway. I clock 60 to 80 miles that way, getting to work every week, slowed down a little in COVID. But it's a great exercise. It's good for the environment. It's a low entry barrier. Everyone getting a bike is not that expensive. And after all, 2020 American Community Survey identified 2/3 of people living in 134 as not having access to a car at all for commuting. So it is a way that people get to work uptown. Now, for the last 10 years, we've known that the vital part of this greenway between the George Washington Bridge and Dyckman Street is in pretty bad shape. The retaining wall that is the basis of the greenway, it's between the two lanes of the Henry Hudson Parkway.
Is that my
Like her
technology or she gone?
Yeah, no, I was like, am I bugging?
Yeah.
Allegra? Oh, I think she's gone. Wait a minute. Oh, did her phone die? Oh man, okay. It looks like her phone died or something happened. So she will be back. I'm gonna allow her to speak when she comes back. If she does, so we'll move on to the next speaker, which is Jael Ben Zion from the Arts Collective.
Hello?
Jael, are you here? Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. Hello, everyone, and thank you for your time. I'll be very brief. I'm a local artist working on socially engaged art project, and I want to invite all of you to an exhibition that we're going to have in Booney Inwood, which is 61 Broadway during the month of June. The exhibition is called Being There, and it's a collaborative project that looks at homelessness from the point of view of artists who have experienced homelessness. It includes visual art, video, live performance, and public talks. And it's part of the NOMA Uptown Art Stroll and was made possible in part due to, thanks to LMCC grant. And the reason that I invite you all because we are gonna touch on a lot of issues that you deal with, you know, as part of your service. So I really think that it's going to be a fascinating exhibition based on the previous project that we had at World Up. I already sent you a poster through Liz Reader. I'm happy to send one more, but you are all very much invited, and thank you for your time.
Excellent. Thank you, Yael. Allegra thank you for sharing. Feel free to share the flyers with our office. Allegra's back, so we will head back to Allegra. You can wrap up your point.
Okay, I don't know where I cut out. The Henry Hudson Greenway north of George Washington Bridge is in bad shape. It needs to get fixed. We know it needs to get fixed, but it is the only safe bike path connecting Upper Manhattan to the rest of the city. We've known about it, imminent construction. We've asked parks to please provide a safe alternative. We approached New York State Department of Transportation. They signaled openness to opening a lane of the Henry Hudson Parkway. The Parks Committee has drafted lighthouse link resolutions. They're well apprised of the situation, but the vital link between parks and either New York City Department of Transportation to have a safe surface street detour never happened. So I would like to encourage the community board to work collectively, not just at the committee level for parks, because that was not an efficient mechanism to ensure we have continuous access to this vital safe pathway. But we need to work also with the transportation and many, like the whole community board as a whole, to make sure that people can get to work safely. The section that Parks proposes detouring in, it is the only surface street that goes through for vehicular traffic. It's very crowded. There are large trucks. They suggest people go down Broadway between Dyckman Street and 181st Street and then cut over from 181st back to the Greenway. This is not a place that I would take my child, and it's probably not some place you would take your child either. It's not a place I feel safe biking to work. I've seen an accident on this section of car versus electric kick scooter just in this last year. So I strongly encourage the community board to draft a resolution to maintain safe, consistent, continuous access to bike lanes in Upper Manhattan. We deserve it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Allegra. Next up, we have Josh Goodman. Go ahead, Josh.
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Now. Yep.
Great. All right, so hi everyone. I'd like to speak about the proposed downzoning of a portion of Washington Heights that the community board voted in favor of in January. New York City desperately needs more housing. We all know this. The city's population grew by 10% in the past decade, but the number of housing units increased by only 7% overall. In an R district, it's grown by less than 1% during that time. 50% of CB12's population is rent burdened, with 28% of people paying more than half of their income toward housing. And the answer to this problem is clear. We simply need to build more of it. Research on the topic has consistently shown that new construction decreases rents in the areas surrounding it and leads to lower rates of displacement for existing neighborhood residents. Our city and our district in particular are facing a dire affordability crisis, and that particularly affects renters, who make up 90% of our community. Change is hard. We can alter the way in which it happens using research-backed policies to make it work for us. One option, which seems to be embraced by many on this board, is to oppose essentially all new construction, keeping the built environment as it is as much as possible, with the resulting shortage of housing, meaning that rents rise and long-term residents are priced out by new arrivals to the neighborhood. But the other option is to build more housing so that we can keep rents lower and keep people in their homes. Yes, your street might look different. In fact, my street, Fort Washington Avenue, might look different very soon. I'm not saying that doesn't upset me. I love how my neighborhood feels. But to me, there's absolutely no question that this trade-off is worth it. Instead of actively taking a step backward through downzoning, let's aim to build more housing and ensure that when it is built, it is done in a way that benefits the community. For example, we can push for requiring a higher ratio of deeply affordable units to market rate units and decreasing parking minimums, since 3/4 of households in our neighborhood are car-free. But the answer can't be to halt everything. When there's a shortage of housing, the people who are pushed out of the neighborhood or even the city are not the potential gentrifiers you may be trying to avoid. Instead, they are the poorest, most socially marginalized people who are struggling to get by. Please say no to blanket hostility toward housing development and make New York and Washington Heights a better, more affordable place for everyone. Thanks for your time.
All right, thank you so much, Josh. Next up, we have Dave Tom.
Hello, sound okay?
Yes.
Okay, great, thanks. My name is Dave Tom, I live in Inwood, and I want to build on the points that Allegra was making regarding the Greenway, as I was one of the people that helped push for the resolution that was passed by this board last year, supporting the idea of DOT studying with New York State DOT how to repurpose a lane of the northbound Henry Hudson to create a temporary detour while this work was being done on the Greenway. As indeed the work is very necessary. I'm a structural engineer, civil engineer. Believe me when I say I understand bikes and cars and that sort of thing. And the way the history of roadway development worked in this area, that third lane, the traffic capacity, carrying capacity of those lanes is sufficient at the numbers that have been on that highway for the last 5-10 years to support the northbound traffic with only 2 lanes instead of 3. So it would not be an impediment to drivers to borrow a lane for a detour. And it would be very low cost solution, similar to what the city did on Harlem River Driveway, which is that road that connects from 155th Street down to Harlem River Drive. And the Greenway on the east side does exactly that, uses a surplus lane of that sort of highway adjacent piece of infrastructure to connect up into 155th Street. So we're very disappointed that after a year of warning about this and trying to push for it, that apparently nothing has happened. Broadway is deeply unsafe to take bikes onto at this section. And I think you're also going to see a lot of problems with people who are on the pathway down low. When they see the detour, they'll say, oh, I guess I'll just go along the Amtrak right of way and walk on the train tracks. And, you know, it's only a half-mile gap through the Amtrak area to get down to get to the gap, through the gap. So I think this is just going to lead to all sorts of problems. And we really need to push harder to say this is not acceptable. This would not happen in other neighborhoods where the Greenway would just get severed like that, cutting off the entire neighborhood from the network and cutting off the city from the Empire State Trail. And so I encourage the board to take action to point out that this is simply the detour is not acceptable. And while the Greenway closure needs to happen, we need better alternatives. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dave, for joining us this evening. Aisha, I see your hand up. Is it a clarifying question? Because we can only do clarifying. Okay.
Yeah, I just want to understand from the comments of Allegra and now David Tom, is this a resolution that has already been passed by our board a year ago? Is that what we're saying? And what has our chair done to push forward that resolution to raise its visibility, to advocate on behalf of the board so that we could yield the results that are being asked for?
That's a question for them, for me. I mean, what I can tell you that I know is that it pops up in our budget, and I think Allegra spoke to that point. in our budget priorities list for the last few years, actually. And I think it came up in more than just one. It wasn't just parks that it popped up in, because I do remember the Lighthouse Link project, the Greenway project, and us piecemealing that. So I would say reach out to some of those relevant chairs, as she mentioned, to see where, what if anything has moved and what the challenges are with the issue. But
Yeah,
it is an
Aisha,
ongoing thing.
Aisha, you can definitely like reach out to me. It comes up every single PCA meeting. I'd be happy to talk about Lighthouse Link and all that. When it comes to bike lanes, though, that's traffic and transportation, not us. Just
Yeah, my question was more related to whether there's not just budget item, but a resolution that has been passed, because in that instance, it does fall on the chair. And to be quite honest, there's a long list of resolutions that have been passed with a lot of work from board members, but don't get the advocacy on the back end, and it just kind of falls dead. And we've had instances, like for instance, in housing, where resolutions have sat for 8 years without being advocated for until someone sheds light on that. I would not want this to be another case of that, as well as all the other resolutions that may need that kind of advocacy. That responsibility does fall on the chair and the executive board, I would say. So that's more my question is there an actual resolution that has already been passed and ratified? And what is the activity that has taken place in that regard?
For specifically Lighthouse Link, and sorry to bogart this, Catherine.
I would say actually, because just so that we can respond to it more accurately, Nobles, because I think there's multiple, but I cannot say off the top of my head. I think let's get parks, traffic, and the relevant committees to see what if there have been multiple pieces, because my understanding is there's multiple resos tied to it because the project's broken down in multiple, and see where they are. And we can ask Ebenezer if there's been any updates on those, and if it comes up in the district service cabinet. So that's part of a laundry list for next month for sure.
Okay. Understood.
We do have one more. We do have one more presentation. I do see your hand up, Richard. So I'm gonna move forward with the public session piece. Okay. We have where's Carolyn? She's been hanging out on meeting.
Hi, I'm here.
Oh, there you are.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome, Carolyn. I'm go ahead. I know very little about I actually don't know anything about the presentation that you're bringing forth this evening. So if you could please introduce yourself, give some context. And I know that the office is on standby to show a flyer.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yes, please show that flyer. Hi, everyone. Buenas. I'm Carolyn. I'm very happy to be here. I'm a new officer at Columbia Medical. And today, specifically, I'm happy to share that our summer sports camp scholarships are live. You can find those on our website. I'm sorry that I can't input a link, but I can communicate with CB12 to send around the link. You can also find it on our website. That's GCA Columbia. So the scholarships, they're full scholarships. A number of full scholarships are offered to children in zip codes. I'm going to read the zip codes very quickly. 10032, 10033, 10034, 10040, 10463, some parts of 10463. The application is due on June 10th. That's a Friday at 4 p.m. Please reach out to me about any questions. And I hope those with children interested stayed long enough. If you know anybody that left, or if nobody that would be interested, please share this information with them, and feel free to reach out to me. I'm here about questions about this and other initiatives. So thank you very much. 2 minutes.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you, Carolyn. And I think the office is also going to be sharing that out widely. Okay, great. I think that, yes, that wraps up our public session. Thank you all for participating. We are going to move on to the next portion of our meeting, which so for new folks, we start with the resolutions. And then we move on to our, the committee reports. So I believe
can I do a public announcement?
Was it? Oh, Danielle. Yeah, go ahead, Danielle. Is it for a group?
Yes, it is.
Go ahead.
It's for Rain Garden. We're hosting the Art in the Garden show next month. I'd rather do the announcement now because the show is on June 18th. It's between 12 and 4 p.m. and it's part of the Art Stroll, the Uptown Art Stroll program. We're going to be having painting, sculptures, singers, like, you know, just cool art stuff and music. So we hope that anybody that's available that day, they can come and join us. Once again, the date is June 18th between 12 and 4 in Rain Garden by Dykeman and Broadway, or Riverside Ave. Thank you.
Thanks, Daniel. So as I was saying, we're going to move on to our committee resolutions. First up is Traffic and Transportation Chair Debbie. Debbie, you got 4 minutes on the clock.
Thank you, Catherine. So I will refer to the minutes outside of the resolutions being presented tonight. People, aside from the new board members, welcome, have seen this resolution before. So just to do a quick recap, as part of DOT's presentations during 2021 in June and September of that year about the plaza, now Cascaya Plaza on Dykeman Street between Broadway and Seaman Avenue, there was also this concept of changing, making a two-way conversion of the one block of Seaman between Dykeman and Riverside that is not currently two-way already. And we kind of knew about this presentation, but asked them to come back when we were closer to the date when that would happen and that we could talk about it specifically. So again, the proposal came directly as sort of, because you were closing sort of one access point to get yourself from Broadway to Seaman, came this proposal. There was also this a sense that a potential side benefit was how much trouble we have with Henshaw, a roadway that gets a lot of traffic given where it sits relative to the Henry Hudson, and it being so tiny, it can't really handle it. So this gives people another opportunity to get over to Seaman that way as well. So this came up in our April meeting, but wasn't on the agenda, and everybody thought it best, which was right, to sort of return it to the May agenda when the public could have more awareness before voting on the resolution as a full board. While in the past two meetings, the first two meetings, we just heard positive things, pretty much supporting the idea. We did have a few people who came in May who did not like the idea. The issues were around like how much speeding there is in the area and pedestrian safety, and then the double parking. You know, already it seemed like there's so much going on there. Some people didn't feel good about sort of adding this to the mix. I will say, as a sidebar, we are just hearing this constantly. People are feeling vulnerable on our streets. Pedestrians don't feel good. It's kind of throughout the district. I think, so that's sort of a longer conversation and something probably for next year's attention, because that involves both traffic enforcement and streets. But anyway, so the resolved here is that community board supports the two-way conversion plan as presented, with implementation to include a dedicated turn, left turn opportunity when you're coming off the highway and heading towards Broadway, and that DOT make any adjustments to signal timing, etc., so it doesn't start to back up on Riverside, and then also the DOT make observations and come back to the committee and report because of a change like this of a conversion of a two-way street, we really need to see that it did what it's supposed to do and didn't cause like unintended consequences.
Excellent. That was right on time.
Okay.
Are there? Oh, Sally has a hand.
Yeah, Debbie, it seems like there was opposition from at least 3 board members not on the committee, as well as most of the public attendees. And one of the concerns was that no traffic study had been done. Is there a reason why we're making a change that seems to be fairly significant without a proper traffic study?
No, I mean, there was a traffic study that went with the plaza. So, and I think particularly for an interest, that DOT said that they could share some of the information with somebody that was particularly interested.
My other concern, I guess, is just regarding the plaza. I was there most of the day on Saturday. There was nothing going on except a bunch of dirt bike riders and motorcyclists and stuff like that, using that as basically a free-for-all place to ride their bikes. There was no public programming. There were no tables set out. And I'm trying to figure out what's actually going on with that plaza.
Actually, Sally, I'm so glad you brought that up. The other item that I know I referred to the minutes, but was on the agenda was we had an update about Haven Plaza and had the plaza manager there. And so they were able to give us some flavor of the kind of programming, what had happened so far, what might be coming up. And it was, I think people really, like all of us, really appreciated getting that information. So I definitely think we should do the same thing with Quisqueya to get a sense for how things are going and all of that. And can I task you with like following up? It wouldn't be for the June meeting, but for after the summer to do the same as we just did. People really liked it and we were really happy to have it.
Okay, thank you.
Emily?
Sorry about that.
And Emily was at the meeting, so she's going to speak directly to it. She's one of the board members that was there.
Yeah, I still had a question about, I think I asked this last time, but I just don't recall what the answer was, about why it had been changed previously and how this is going to be different this time so that we don't have the same issue. I do recall in the meeting that it said that before it was a two-way, but then it got changed to a one-way and now it's being changed to a two-way again. So how it's going to be different this time, and if it's being changed for a different reason, like just so that we don't go flip-flopping again and go back to a one-way, like how is this change going to be different from any of the last ones?
Yeah, I mean, it really preceded me, so I don't know. I mean, at the time, I think it related to issues on Riverside and not having the and that people could sometimes back up. I think that's what that related to. So like if you don't get the signal timing, then people really, that's such a short block, you're going to end up tying up on Riverside. Look, there's no guarantee. I think it is important that we make sure this does what we want it to do. I think it's a more direct, yeah. And there's always a chance it doesn't work. But, I also think our streets change in terms of what we know and what we can do to make adjustments, or not we, DOT. But I think it's a good point. I don't think there's any great answer to that. Like it may not work. But right now, the idea that you kind of need to make a left and a right and a left, and this gives people the opportunity to go straight. I hope it works, and that they can deal with it through signal timing. But it could also not, to your point.
You have Maria, Angel, then Steve.
Thank you. Debbie, the resolution that was discussed at the last meeting and it was sent to the committee, in the essence, it was anything changed basically because there was so much opposition from some of the people that live in that immediate community. What happened? What is the new, is new or something was removed and changed on that resolution that we are voting tonight?
I mean, not substantially. I thought when we were talking that we didn't flesh out this idea of, like we want them to make the observations and come back, but we actually already had that in there. So I just sharpened the language there and just made sure that, and tried to add a little more of a picture of people's concerns, because again, concerns came up in May and we really hadn't faced concerns before that. We had had people say, I support it, that's great, or they didn't say anything at all. So those are really the two areas that one of the whereases now discuss some negative reactions to it and to make sure that that we were sharp about keeping traffic moving and observing afterwards to make sure that there has not been an unintended consequence. But I would not say they were substantial changes, no.
All right, thank you so much.
Thanks, Maria. Thanks for being there too. Angel?
No, my hand, I lowered my hand. I can give it over to
Steve. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Steve.
Debbie, I'm looking at the first resolved clause, which says that we support the plan as presented. So the plan, does the plan already include having this dedicated turn-through lane and making signal timing adjustments at Riverside Drive and at Dyckman Street to ensure that it doesn't interfere with the traffic flow on Riverside Drive? Are those things already part of the plan?
No, the only thing, the quote plan was a picture of the street becoming two-way. There's nothing in the picture that says we'll adjust the signal, nor does it discuss the like a turn through lane versus a through lane. So it doesn't discuss how those two lanes are painted. So that's why it says it's the plan that was presented with the implementation to make sure that there was an opportunity for left turns and any signal timing adjustments at Riverside Drive and at Dyckman, what it says. But those are sort of two separate thoughts. If you feel like it should be, the language should be sharpened to make it clear that those last two things are separate from what was in the picture that was presented by Dot, I will make that.
Yeah, I think I think we're not actually supporting the plan as presented. We may be supporting the plan, but with at least a couple of amendments we seem to be asking for.
Okay, so why don't I take out the word as presented, the clause as presented?
Yeah, and
okay.
And let me just say, I'm concerned about, and I think I raised this point at your meeting. I'm concerned about the westbound traffic, because I see this is now going to be, I think, the popular place where people will turn. Instead of going, they no longer have to turn at Henshaw. They'll be able to turn here at Seaman and go straight up Seaman Avenue to go north. I think there's I'm concerned about the traffic signals, the way they're going to control the traffic and the turns right there at Seaman. And that's only like a block off of Broadway. So I see a potential here for real traffic issues with going westbound. So do you think the language that you have here would also cover that problem, that it would have to include some kind of traffic controls on the westbound traffic as well?
I think it does. I mean, we have observations. I mean, everybody sort of recognizes that's a sharp right.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're trying to get,
I mean,
sort of contend with to some extent.
Because Because obviously people can't drive anymore because of the plaza. They can't drive on Dyckman Street. So that, I mean, that's the whole reason for this, is because of the fact that people can no longer drive along Dyckman. So they need to make in order to get onto Seaman, they need to make this turn. I understand that, but I'm very concerned about how this is going to work out.
Again, I think that's why, and this is sort of Jim's point throughout all the meetings, that it's a tight spot.
Yeah.
It's not good. None of these intersections. I mean, look, none of them are a picnic around there. It's dense, but that's why.
Jim had his hand up.
Yeah.
So if you
Thank
can just
you.
respond to that, and then we'll move on to housing.
Thank you. It turns out there is already a traffic light at that intersection. And the other key to our resolution, and where we've always, as a committee, been very adamant about it, especially this time, is that when they put this in, we expect DOT to be there, maybe even with some monitoring equipment, certainly for the first few days. And if things don't work right, they have to stop it and put it back the way it was. And this has been inherent in what we've told DOT since the beginning of time, you know.
And just to be clear, like, that is something that happens as a matter of course. We have much less big things that, you know, like they implement something. There's often a need for signal timing adjustments, for example. That just kind of goes along with the territory. So I will say this, I think this was unanimous out of committee, but again, to Sally's point, some of the board members outside the committee were not in support at the time.
Okay. All right, thank you, Debbie. Next up, we're gonna hear another resolution from Housing and Human Services. Marielle Ali will present this. I think she's still gonna present. Is she here?
Yep, I'm still here.
All right, cool. Go on
Great,
ahead, Marielle.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. And just to let you know, I'm presenting the resolution, but if you have any friendly amendments or any comments, I will defer to Emily, who is the assistant chair of the committee, to take that forward, you know, kind of with all of you and the office staff. So this resolution, as you all may be aware, the NYC Rent Guidelines Board met on May 5th, where the annual meeting where they proposed rent increases for the rent base for rent stabilized apartments. Obviously, the final vote will come now in June, so that's why we're kind of chiming in with this resolution to hopefully influence really what it is that they're proposing. And so for those of you that are unaware, they are proposing for 1 year renewal lease, as you see in the resolution, start commencing on or after October 1st and on or before September 30th, 2023, from a 2% to a 4% increase. And then for 2 year leases, they are proposing a 4 to 6% increase. It was the view of the committee that I know the initial number before they met on May 5th, I believe, was as high as 9%, which we as the committee thought was ridiculous, considering so many things that are kind of outlined here in the resolution, some of which, as you know, the eviction moratorium ended on January 16th. And since then, according to the Princeton University Eviction Lab, there have been 29,636 evictions since January 16. We obviously know the impact that inflation is having on families across the city. We also know, of course, that rents continue to rise, and there's so many other factors that are, really making it quite difficult. So with that, we are kind of the committee is calling for the rent guideline boards instead to consider the following. One, for a 1 year renewal lease commencing on or after October 1st, 2022, and on or before September 30th, 2003, a freeze to 1% increase. And for 2 year leases, an increase of 4 to 6% rather than what they proposed. So that is all. I will defer to maybe the members of the committee that were there for any questions. And again, for any kind of friendly amendments, I will defer to the assistant chair of the committee to take that forward. Thanks.
Steve? Sonia?
Yeah, I have two questions. The first is, have 29,636 evictions actually been carried out since January 16th, or are those the number of actions that have been initiated by the landlords? Have that many people, have that many families actually been evicted?
No, so it does state here that have been filed.
Well, I guess it would be petitions for evictions have been filed. I would clarify that language. Let me, but the other thing that concerns me is that we're advocating that the 1-year lease renewal should be lowered, but we're going along with the proposed 2-year lease renewal. Why aren't we suggesting that it be lowered from 4% to 6%? I mean, that's
Yeah, so thank you, Steve. I actually just noticed that that is a typo. What the committee recommended is 0 to 2% for 2-year leases.
Oh, okay.
That was a mistake.
Okay, well, that's a big difference.
Yes. So thank you for bringing that up. Yep.
Okay, so that is what the resolution, that's how the resolution should actually read?
Correct. So it should read for just for you and everyone else for your consideration this evening is for 1-year renewal leases, it should be 0 to 1%. And for 2-year renewal leases, 0 to 2%. And so that, again, typo that that was in the document. Apologies.
Tanya?
Yes, hi. I just wanted to say to Marielle, I just want to thank you for all of your wonderful work on this board. You're stepping up in leadership and everything that you've given, even being stand up, being here tonight to give this report for this committee. I just don't even know what to say about the decision in your case. I just don't even have any words for that nonsense. But I will say that, you know, you exemplify the type of people that we need on this board, the type of leadership and attitude that we need more of, not to get rid of. And I am just, I just, you know, again, I really, you know, just don't even know what to say, but I just wanted to let you know that, you know, I, you know, appreciated everything you've brought to this table. I can't understand the decision, but I will say that it is, we need more of people like you. And I hope that changes will be made and, you know, so that that sort of thing does not happen in the future, and that we will encourage more people like you to be a part of our board and to remain and to be acknowledged for the work that they do when they're here. So thank you, and thank you for leading this committee tonight, despite everything. I appreciate you, and I just want to say that. Thank you, my dear.
Thank you, Tanya. Really appreciate the kind words, and it's just also an acknowledgement to everyone in the Housing and Human Services Committee. It's really been a pleasure working with all of you and learning from all of you. And not just those that I haven't had a chance to work with, but in other instances, really have been humbled and honored to had an opportunity to learn from all of you. So thank you.
There's 3 more hands. So Aisha, Bruce, Daryl, Tanya, I'm glad you brought it up. Marielle, this chapter is not closed. I know we will see you again because you've done an amazing job. And so, you know, I hope to see you here on the screen very soon. That's all I'm gonna say. Aisha.
Yeah, at first had raised my hand because having taken part in the committee activity and seeing the percentages, I was like, wait, what happened? I know I've been very focused on school, so I didn't, see it through to the final resolution being published in the emails until just a few minutes ago. But now that we've cleared that up, I feel like I would be completely remiss in also not echoing the sentiments of Tanya that I've already shared with Marielle earlier today. It is extremely shocking and to me disappointed that someone of the caliber of Marielle would be removed from our board. I am extremely grateful to her for being fair, conscientious, open-minded on behalf of our community and stepping into a situation and a tone specifically in the housing committee that was contentious to say the least, and exercising her leadership with honor and her commitment and her determination and fairness and honesty in that is invaluable to me, and I'm extremely grateful.
Okay, thank you. Bruce?
Yeah, I have to echo what Tanya and Aisha just said. I'm on the committee, and I'm kind of devastated that Marielle is leaving because she really brought a balance to the committee, which has had some issues the past few years. So I don't know what we can do to get her back, but we're going to go forward. Thank you.
Darryl and Mary.
Yeah, I just wanted to further echo everyone's sentiment. Marielle has been a fantastic partner and so professional and kind, and we need more people like her and her back on the board. So you will be sorely missed.
Mary?
I'm just feeling suddenly like I'm in the dark. I had no clue.
Marielle was not reappointed to the board.
Okay. I didn't know. It seems like everybody else knew, but I didn't know.
We only found out today. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think
Okay.
everyone knew, Mary. And I think
because I'm like,
to be
I'm
quite
like, what's
frank,
going on?
I thought it was a mistake, and some of us
Confused.
thought it was a mistake and did not know that that was a final decision. So I again, it's Marielle's business, but that is where it currently stands. I do see Emily has her hand up, and then I'll let Marielle wrap up before we move on again.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I was basically just going to reiterate what everyone else said. I know that I haven't been on the community board very long. I came in as a substitute in the fall time, so I still am fairly new, and I'm learning a lot about the dynamics in the community board. And even though I met Marielle like just a couple times just to talk about being assistant chair of the Housing and Health Services Committee, I honestly just joined because I spoke to her and got the good vibes and everything. So I mean, I understand that this is like a final decision, but that was like the major reason that I did choose my role. But I do hope that everything does work out, and I thank her for everything that she's done, especially working so hard on this resolution last night as well. Thank you.
Marielle, go ahead. You got the last word.
Thank you, Catherine. No, again, thank you everyone for your kind words. I really appreciate it. I'll send an email probably sometime tomorrow with my contact information. Happy to stay in touch with you in other capacities. While it's not the decision I wanted, I understand and respect the process. So again, thank you for everything that you all have shared with me and everything that I've been able to learn over the past 2 years. And I guess I would leave you all with kind of one of my kind of favorite things that are kind of favorite sayings, so to speak, of President Obama. Some of you may know a couple of years ago, and Tanya was involved with this. I volunteered with Organizing for Action after President Obama's reelection in 2012. And a lot of it was like issue advocacy and community organizing. And then kind of one of the things that he's quite known for in that community organizing space is, you know, just saying kind of fired up and ready to go. And so I encourage you to kind of keep that with all of you as you continue to work on behalf of the community, because it's incredibly important. So again, thank you all.
Thank you. All right. So next up, we're going to hear from Isidro and our licensing committee. I'm just going to ask Isidro if you can kind of explain a little bit about the package, how it works. Jim will be sharing with folks about, for new members, especially about how to vote tonight and what that looks like.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. So again, for the new members, my name is Isidro Medina. I am the chair of the licensing committee. I've been part of this board for the last 7 or 8 years. And as chair, I've been for around maybe 5 or 6 years. So quickly, you know, the committees are assigned to vote on different resolutions that come before the committee, and they come from different restaurants, bars, lounge, and so on. So, you know, we do have an effect on how we vote on the resolutions of the applicants. And as you probably know, the effect that the restaurants will have on the barber shops, the hair salon, nails, pedicure, and all of that apparel, that's a domino effect. So the minute that a restaurant opens up, you would know that hopefully that, you know, they will hire from the community, and, you know, all the industries like I just mentioned will also be positively affected. Also, we gotta be careful by how we vote. Sometimes there are resolutions or applications that, you know, sit in an area of conflict or an area that is very residential, and oftentimes we have to safeguard our residents in making sure that you know, there's a balance as to what the property, the restaurants will want, as well as like the late hours, that they will stay open. So we really have to negotiate with the restaurants or the operators to make sure that there's a balance between what they want versus what the community needs. And what we provide is a recommendation for the general board whether to approve or not other resolutions. Just a quick word, if I may, Madam Chair. Mariel, thank you so much for your support. You were a fantastic member of the licensing committee. You help us a lot with the minutes, with your input. So I'm going to miss you tremendously. Thank you so much for your support, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at some other levels. And again, I'll miss you for sure. Going back to the report, Madam Chair, we do have 16 resolutions. However, we are not going to vote on agenda item number 4, 11, and 16 because they have been withdrawn. I would also like for resolution number 12 and 15 to be of objection. The committee voted in favor, but because one of the stipulations required that they submit a copy of sound limiters to make sure that the noise level will be down, they did not submit that receipt to the office. It was part of the requirement that we had asked them, and they did not submit said receipts. So for agenda item number 12, Madam Chair, and number 15, they have been switched to a no vote, to objections. Practically, the committee voted in consensus of all the applicants. There wasn't a single applicant that drove up a lot of attention. I refer you to the minutes for the specifics, but if there are any questions, I'll be open to answer those questions for you. Steve.
I think maybe OC goes before me.
Apologies, Ozzy.
Thank you. Isidro, can you, for new members, can you please elaborate on the votes in terms of when you vote for yes with the committee's recommendation on a no resolution, what that means, and the other way around?
If it's
Because
okay, also I will refer that to Jim, who is our parliamentarian. He'll give you proper guidance on that once we're voting. Steve.
Okay, so Cedro, of course, I have a few questions. So I assume now that in the whereas clauses in numbers 12 and 15, you will make it clear that they did not comply with the request to provide the proof of the purchase of the sound limiters. So you'll change the language in those resolutions.
Correct.
Correct. Okay. I want to point out we have two resolutions about Grito, the Mexican Grill, which is a restaurant that I love. But in one resolution, we say that they have 23 chairs. In the other one, we say they have 24 chairs. And in one resolution, we say they have no bar stools. And in the other one, we say they have 5 bar stools. You may want to fix those two so the resolutions are consistent.
I will check on the application again. I'm sure there's typos there.
Yeah.
They did submit a questionnaire. So I will check both questionnaires because they sent out 2.
Okay.
I'll be sure to check both of them, and I would make the changes as such.
I'm pretty sure they have the 5 bar stools. Now in number 9, there's a comment in the resolution that that something is that the area is narrow and it presents some problems for traffic flow. So are we saying there that that 207th Street itself is too narrow?
And this is for agenda item number 9, correct?
Yeah, number 9. Yeah. Okay, could you maybe clarify in the resolution what it is that's too narrow?
So 207 as a whole is very narrow because of the outside dining cafes that they are there.
Okay. All right. So I would just suggest that when that you clarify in the language of the resolution what it is that you're saying is too narrow.
Very well.
And with respect to resolutions 13 and 14, which both have a calling for a method of operation change, they both involve expanding the late hours so that the establishments would stay open till either 2 a.m. or in some cases 4 a.m. When they post the notice for the public, does it just say that it concerns a change in the method of operation, or does it specify that we're talking about letting them stay open much later into the night? Does the public get fair notice of what is actually being considered?
And Vanessa can correct me if I'm mistaken, but it doesn't specify as to what the ask is. What it does say that there is a changes to a method of operation.
Yeah.
The public notice doesn't state explicitly what the changes of operations will be. Perhaps we can take that into consideration as we move forward.
Yeah, I would like to make that offer that as maybe helpful advice, because somebody from the public who's just passing by the establishment, it's not going to register with them what's meant by a method of operation change. And it would certainly concern me more if I'm living on top of one of these restaurants, if they're going to be open till 4 a.m, whereas previously they were closing at 10 o'clock or 12 o'clock at night. That's a major change. And so I don't know that the public has really been given a fair warning of what's happening in these two cases.
Perhaps we can work out with Ebenezer to make it more explicit as to what the changes will be, because I think...
Isidro, if I may?
Yes, please.
Yes, please, I would like to refer you to the back of the calendar. You will see that we specifically describe what type of change it is. Method of operation for this, change of method of operation for that. We are doing that clarification on the back of the calendar.
But
produce notification.
The flyer that gets, what about the flyer that gets posted at the location itself?
Yes. We are very specific what the application is for.
Okay.
Oh, very good. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Okay, very good.
Okay, I don't see any more hands for licensing this month. All right, thank you. Thank you, Isidro. So as I mentioned way back in our meeting, first we discuss the resolutions, we vote on them, and then we hear from committee chair on their reports. Sometimes they refer to the minutes, which we should have all received, and I hope that all new members have all of the materials on hand. So this is now the segment of the portion where we vote. I'm going to have Jim Berlin explain what voting looks like, particularly for new members. And while Angel and I on the back end act as secretary.
Thank you, Catherine. Some of you are probably familiar with parliamentary procedure, Robert's rules, which we follow. However, we also are required to follow the laws of the City of New York and the City Charter, and that has amended how Robert's rules work at community boards. And it all has to do with the concept of abstention. Now, technically in November, if you stay home and don't go to vote, you've abstained. That's technically what it means. You're not voting. And obviously in that situation, abstentions don't count. It's the people who actually went to the polls, it's their votes that count. And this is generally true with parliamentary procedure also. You can normally abstain to vote, and that doesn't count one way or the other. However, according to the city charter, your mere presence while the voting is going on means that you're going to vote one way or the other. Okay. Now, you can vote in favor of the resolution, right? And that will count in favor of the resolution. And in order for a resolution to pass, it has to have a majority of the votes. One more than half of the votes have to be in favor of the resolution. Now, you can vote no, in which case you're not voting in favor of the resolution. You can abstain, but this time, since you're present at the meeting, as far as the city charter is concerned, you're abstaining, and you may have the same reason for abstaining. You don't want to vote on this, but according to the way the city charter requires us to count the votes, abstentions actually count as votes not in favor of the resolution, and they get counted basically as no votes. And in fact, anything you do, if you're here at the meeting voting, other than voting in favor, it has to be, again, according to the city charter, has to be counted as a no vote. So you can refuse to vote, we'll count that as a no vote. You can chant things in some foreign language, we don't know what you're doing, we'll count that as a no vote. So that's just the way that things are required by the city charter. Now, it actually turns out to simplify matters, because sometimes people like to abstain for, very sensible reasons. But sometimes you don't have enough votes then, and the whole counting gets messed up. So actually the city charter simplifies things in this way, but it's not strict Robert's Rules of Order. And just keep in mind that if you abstain or if you vote no, and again, they may mean very different things to what you're saying about what you're thinking, they will both get counted as required by the city charter as no votes. That's the way we have to do the counting. Thank you. And if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
I think Wayne and Dara want to weigh in, and then I really encourage for our new folks joining tonight, if you got any questions, any thoughts at all, please don't be shy. Super important that this comes across for you and that you feel comfortable enough to vote tonight. Go ahead, Wayne.
I believe Daryl was before me.
Thank you, Wayne. Just a quick clarifying question. If someone is in attendance at the beginning of the meeting, but has to leave prior to voting, then they do not count, correct?
That is correct. Technically, when we take the vote, it actually counts as a roll call at the same time. So we can determine when we take the vote, whether we have a quorum or not. And it's the people present at the time. You're absolutely correct, Darryl, and thank you for clarifying that. It's the people present at the time of the vote who are voting, but if you're there, you're voting, and if you don't vote yes, you're technically, according to the city charter, voting no.
So Jim, would you also please explain for our new members not voting due to conflict?
Oh, that's a whole other thing. And this is a really big thing in government. In fact, it's a big thing in ethics in general. If you have a conflict of interest, and sometime soon you will get a training course on this from the borough president, you may be sure. And a conflict of interest means that you or someone you know well or some relative of yours will make money off of this vote you were going to take. Like it's about some company your uncle owns or you own. Then you have a conflict of interest, and then you're not allowed to vote. Okay. And that's a whole different story. And again, I'm so glad that Wayne brought it up. Now, when you have a conflict of interest, you have to, and there are several, normally, if you have a conflict of interest, you can't even discuss the matter, but community boards is special. So if you have a conflict of interest about your uncle's business, let's stick with that one. If you want to talk about your uncle's business, because it's a wonderful business and will benefit the community, you have every right to talk about it, but you must announce to the rest of the community board that you have a conflict of interest, and you have to tell us what specifically the conflict of interest is. This is your generous uncle who bought your house for you. Then you can talk about the business all you want, but you still can't vote. Now, if that situation occurs, and you'll hear this probably happen with Steve Simon, who works for the Parks Department and therefore cannot vote on things associated with the Parks Department, he will announce that he has a conflict of interest and he's not voting. And that does two things. A, it's almost like the abstention the way it used to be, but secondly, it reduces by one the total required for a quorum, because this person technically is not voting at all. And that's something the secretary who tabulates the vote has to be aware of. So when someone says they're not voting because of conflict of interest, and again, you have to tell us what it is, then the number of people voting on that particular resolution drops by one. And again, thank you to my colleagues for helping us clarify this.
Jim, you have three hands now. So we have Jacob, James, and then Tanya.
I think James was actually first.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I understand all this. I was prepared to abstain on all of the votes tonight just because it's my first meeting. I haven't been to any committee meetings before, any board meetings. I've been to some board meetings years ago, but none of these issues were on the table. So I was going to vote no on the basis of just being of ignorance. I read all the reports and the items, but I feel uneasy voting yes or no, but I'm not confident that I understand all the issues as completely as I hope to for the next meeting.
Right.
I just wanted to state that for the record, and I'll vote somehow, but I just wanted to say that.
Oh, no, I think, in fact, you just demonstrated this inherent flaw in the system. Unfortunately, I will editorialize for a moment. These people who do the charter revision sometimes think they're much smarter than they really are. And often, so for example, in Robert's rules, you need a 2/3 vote in order to stop discussion. Not us. We can stop discussion with a majority vote because we're not allowed to have supermajorities. So the city charter does these odd things. But so what I would suggest you do, because the word abstain means something to people, abstain, because that's really what you want to do. Know in your heart of hearts, it's got to be counted as a no vote. The odds are, that one vote, unless everyone abstains, that would make a bit of a mess. It probably won't make that much of a difference. So that's what I would suggest that you do. But just be aware that it's not the kind of abstention in normal Robert's rules. It will be counted as a vote not in favor of the resolution, and it won't. So
Well, I'm still voting. I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir.
Sure.
I'm still voting no then, basically. So I am.
Well, no, but say the word abstain, and
no
you will
vote.
write down abstain, and everyone will know you meant to abstain. But when we tally it, it will be a no vote. But the words mean something, just not quite as much as we'd like.
I mean, Jim, it's not actually recorded as a no vote. he's entitled to abstain, as you said.
I said that 9 times,
Yes,
but
it-
in terms of whether the resolution passes or
Right.
not, it is de facto a no vote.
Yes, he still gets recorded as an abstention.
Yes, we
So I'm
can
gonna-
record it as we can record it as an abstention. Yes, we can.
Yes.
But be aware that it actually counts as a no vote.
Well,
Right. And that was a point that Darryl made last month. So there is this difference, but the way we tally the votes ultimately, it will be counted not in favor of the resolution.
but anybody who wants to abstain should be allowed to abstain.
I never said they shouldn't. I was very clear that they should.
We should not make them feel guilty for abstaining.
I did
No,
not
not at
do
all.
that. Nobody
Steve,
did.
the back and forth.
Steve, hold on, please. Thank you so much, Wayne. Yes, folks, you vote as your heart says it. There are hands still that I want to get to. So Jacob.
Thank you, Jim, for explaining all of this, especially to us new folks. I know it's a lot to cover. I wanted to come back to a point that Aussie made earlier, and please correct me if any of this is wrong, because I'm still learning. But I think specifically with regard to resolutions 12 and 15, they've been changed to resolutions of objection, and I wanted to understand how our votes counted in that case.
Okay, that is another truly excellent question. Normally, we try to have resolutions that are in favor of things, everything is straightforward. But sometimes we have resolutions that are opposed to something. Now, as you're sort of pointing out, that means if you're voting in favor of the resolution, you are against the thing. And if you vote opposed, so that means you have to understand that it's a negative resolution and that this backwards. So what we usually do, and you will probably hear it before the vote starts, there's usually someone reminding people of which are the negative resolutions and how your voting is actually backwards. If you want it, you have to vote no. And if you don't want it, you have to vote yes. So that was a truly excellent clarification. Anything else?
Tanya and then Maria.
Yes. Is there any way that we can do this sort of like do a little Zoom with the new members prior to the meeting to explain these procedures? I know that sometimes the announcements of who the new members are can be a little sometimes close to our meeting, but the reason why I say is because it's a lot overwhelming for new people to come in, and then they're already trying to take in everything that's happening and take in all the information they're hearing, and then they're trying to figure out how do I vote. So is there a way for us to do sort of like an intro, just a session to go over this procedure prior to our meeting, so that people are able to get that?
That would be a very good suggestion. And I believe this year we only found out yesterday or something like that. So it would have been possible. But
and the reason
you're getting cut off.
Yeah, I said it because I was lost.
Yeah.
When I'm cut off.
You keep coming in. Yeah, I hear you now. You keep coming in and out, but you're I think that's a great suggestion. You're absolutely right. I think it's even for MBPO when they appoint to send like a full package so that we're all on the same pace, because it would be helpful to have these in advance. But yeah, people literally yesterday, and I think even in the fall, Jumina, we learned the day before as well. So the timing.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I do see two more. Okay. Maria and then Aisha.
I was gonna, agree with Tanya. My point is that we don't want to make new people feel bad about voting or not voting on abstention when they are not aware of the business of that, how we control businesses within the committees, and also the responsibility that they assume once they are appointed. I think that thinking that the explanation to Jim and to some people on this board is very, helpful, but still wouldn't register on them being this their first meeting. So, if they feel that they need to, abstain, that's fine. It should not be held against them until we had what for many years, a meeting with all the new members that we can, get together and discuss the business of the board, how we handle things, And then we know each other, because sometimes, I mean, by all the Zooming things that we're really not familiar with people. I think that it's important that there is a meeting set up soon, a get together, so we can interact and also train and explain to the new members how we conduct businesses. Not every community board holds businesses like we do. Believe me, I've been on this board for 40 years and I've been around many community boards. How they do businesses is very unusual, the things that we do. And I also feel terrible that Marielle is leaving for whatever reason. And thank you for, since I know her since she was born, I think it's a loss to our community board. Okay, thank you.
Aisha, and then again, new members, if you got any percolating questions, now's the time.
So I definitely reiterate on what was said about the new member orientation, how important it is. But I'm thinking Jim always does a great job explaining this process, as well as other board members chiming in. But maybe we could have some type of comp card or a little postcard that has just brief bullet points about how it works, so that even before we're able to, put together a meeting, sometimes we don't know how these things are going to fall, but we can definitely have even a one sheet or, a little postcard that they can immediately have access to. So just a thought.
Well, no, we actually give something out like that during the orientation. And I just want to make clear to everyone, especially the new members, and this is almost like truth in advertising, the statement I made. You can abstain, you can vote no in a foreign language, you can sit there and pout, when we call on you. You have a right to do all these things. But the way we are forced to actually count whether a resolution passes or not, the only vote to begin with, there's a number of people voting, which is everyone who's there while the vote is going on. And the people who vote in favor of it, they vote in favor of the resolution. And if one more than half of the people voting vote in favor of it, then the resolution passes. And if that is not the case, whether it's through no votes or abstentions or whatever, then it won't pass. So sort of truth in advertising, yes, you can abstain, but know how it will actually be counted. And again, there are other situations that will come up where we vote on the priorities of what the city should do in our district, and you're going to look at this sheet and go, what do you want from me? I want all of these things. How can you make me decide? And yet we have to decide. So welcome to the club. Do the best you can. No one's going to come after you for doing, good faith is all important to me. And welcome to all of you.
All right, so I'm gonna pass the baton to Angel, who will kick off our roll call. Just before Angel starts, once we start our roll call, we're not okay, I'm gonna take a question from Jay, but we're not allowed to have discussion of the items. You can ask a clarifying question like, wait, which one was that resolution? But we can't talk about it. So, double check the numbers. Well, it's the first time, so don't think that you got to get it perfect. Like, we're here to support this. Jay, go ahead.
And you're not allowed to explain why you vote. We just want to know how you vote.
Yeah.
Them's the rules,
All right. That answered my question. I was going to see if we can be allowed to explain the vote.
Yeah, no, we don't. You just cast your vote. No, and never feel pressured to share why or what. The only thing you share is conflict of interest.
Straight Robert's rules. Not allowed.
All right, I'm gonna shut up now. Go ahead, Angel.
All right. First we have Joella Brew.
Yes to all.
Okay. Just a reminder to put out your no's first so that we identify that first. Junirna?
She's not on the Zoom right now.
Okay. Richard Allman?
Yes and all.
Mary Anderson?
Yes to all.
Jay Byers?
No to the Seaman Avenue reso.
Okay.
And yes to the rest.
Jacob Banas?
Just a clarification, the transportation resolution, we would refer to that as like resolution A. It doesn't have a number.
Correct.
Right?
That's
Okay.
resolution A.
Okay, thank you. No to A and yes to all others.
Wayne Benjamin,
Yes to all.
James Berlin,
I vote no on 13, 14, and 15, and yes to the rest.
noted.
Thank you.
Danielle Bonilla,
Yes to all.
Hector Bonilla, Hector, do we
Hector's
still
not
have
on.
you? Okay. Tanya Bonner,
No to A, 13, 14, 15, yes to the rest.
13, 14, and 15 are no's, along with A. James Bosley,
Yes to all.
Darrell Cochran,
Yes to all.
Nobles Crawford, Nobles, do we still have you?
You guys can hear me? You can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh, okay. Yes to all. Thank you, Angel.
You got it. Luis Cruz,
I vote yes to all.
Maria del Valle,
I think she's not up those. No,
she was
not
on
so-
earlier. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Catherine.
Take me last, please.
Okay. Mancita Diawara. Sorry about that.
Ancita, you're on.
Are you still on?
Let's come back to her. She's
muted.
Okay.
She's
I'll come back.
Oh, my bad. Abstain
Okay.
from all.
Abstaining on all.
Yes, please.
All right. Domingo Esteves.
Yes, I'll commit to the recommendations.
Okay. Gabriel Estrella.
No to A, no to 13, 14, 15, and yes to the rest.
Got it. Sally Fisher.
No to A, 1, 2, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 13, and 14. Yes to the rest.
So I've got no to A, no to 1, 2, 5, 6, 8, 10. And which other ones?
8, 9, 10, 13, and 14.
8, 9, 10, 13, and 14. Got it. Thank you. Fe Florimon.
Yes to all.
Leo Jimenez. Leo?
Who's he?
I know he was here earlier.
He's here. Let's come back to him.
I'm sorry, Angel. Yes to all. Thank you.
That's Leo.
Yes, that was Leo.
Yes, it is.
Joseph Kalinsky.
Yes to all, please. Thank you very much.
Osi Caminer.
No to A, yes to the rest.
Francisco Lopez.
Yes, hello. Just wanted to say welcome to all the new members and yes to all.
Thank you. Liz Ritter is gone, correct?
Yeah, so.
Maria Luna. Maria.
Yes, I'm getting my notes together.
Oh, okay.
I'm voting no on 8, 3, 5, 6, 7, 9, 13, 14.
Okay. So I can confirm with you. I've got no on A, 3, 5, 6, 7, 9, 13, and 14.
Thank you. Yes to the rest.
Got it. Emily Marte.
Sorry, can you come back around to me?
Sure. Jay Mazer.
No to 13 and 14, yes to the rest.
No to 13, 14, yes to the rest.
Correct.
Isidro
Yes to all.
Medina. Okay. Debbie.
Yes to all. Thanks, Angel. Thanks, Catherine.
Of course. Jonathan.
Yes to all.
Aisha.
Abstain on A, yes to the rest.
Okay. Thank you. Bruce.
Yes to all. Thank you.
Steve.
Not voting on number 7 due to conflict because of my position with the New York City Parks Department, and voting yes on all others. Welcome to the new members.
Carl.
Hey, Carl Onebu?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So look, it goes back to what somebody already suggested about new members. I mean, I don't know too much about these initiatives, but I guess at this point, I will give them the benefit of the doubt and vote yes for all.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
I am voting yes to all as well. So I'm going to come back around to the top again in case I missed anyone. Catherine.
I'm gonna vote no on 13 and abstain on, what was it, on A, and then yes to the rest.
Fifth Florimo.
Let me see if she's
She's
Sorry,
here.
yes.
There
No,
we
no,
go.
no, I didn't realize I was muted. Yes to all.
Okay, yes, so got it. And I believe Emily Marte, you're the last one.
Yeah, no to A, 13, 14. 15, I'm gonna say no to 15 and yes to the rest.
So that was no on 13, 14, and 15, and A.
Yes.
Okay.
And yes to the rest.
Thank you. Believe that's it, Madam Chair.
Yes, did it. Thank you, Angel.
Oh,
So for
I
folks'
really-
understanding, we're gonna calculate that stuff. The office gets it in the morning, and our votes and voted resolutions get signed by our chairperson, Eliezer, and that gets signed to the respective agencies. When it comes to liquor licensing, they also inform the, well, not just liquor, excuse me, any business entity that's coming forth for licensing, they all get informed. I believe it's tomorrow as well. Sometimes they'll be on our call just to see if their stuff passes or not. So that's just some kind of background stuff. All right, I know it's 9:41. It's been a little longer than I've wanted for our meeting to go on to today. We're gonna move on to the committee reports. Oh my God, where did my agenda go? If you know you're next, please go on ahead.
Parks
All
is
right, we
up
got,
first.
yes, Parks, thank you, Wayne. Parks is up first. Nobles, you got anything to report?
I do have things to report. Bear with me. It is a bit. We had a really good, efficient, and effective meeting on the second Tuesday of every month for folks that would like to join. So a couple things here. As you heard the Deputy Member President say, we can still meet virtually. So our PCA meeting for June will be virtual. The People's Theater Project has been formally named as the organization running IRPAC, which is the Immigrant Research and Performing Arts Center. There it is. which will be built on West 206th Street between 9th and 10th Avenues on part of the former site of Pathmark, if you remember that. This is a really big deal. It's obviously very exciting, something that we've been talking about for a while. And so on Sunday, this past, there was a public unveiling of the schematic plans with a ton of community input. We've got a really good report from that. At our next meeting on June 14th, we expect to have Fernando Ortiz from EDC. We've been trying to get him for a few months to come and speak about this. And he's going to walk us through some of those details that have been embargoed basically up until this point on Sunday. And Mino Laura of PTP will be there as well. We also hope that Fernando will report on repairs to the Harlem River Greenway. Big conversation on that last meeting. If you have questions on the Greenway, which happened during our meeting currently, I would highly suggest you go back to the recording. It comes up 3 times in the last meeting, and one of them was a very robust conversation at the very beginning of the meeting about the public sessions that were happening around it. So I would highly suggest if you have Greenway questions, go look at the recording first. Always, you can reach out to me and we can have a further discussion there. We will not be hearing a presentation about the Morris Jamel mansion renovations for ADA access next meeting. It does require LPC approval, and it will be going through the land use committee. And I believe, Wayne, we've already kind of connected on that. And we didn't see the sense of making folks go to 2 different community board meetings, and we felt like land use was the more appropriate place for this particular conversation. We might try again to get the DCLA commissioner, which is the new cultural affairs commissioner, here to speak to us. We've been trying monthly, no report on that yet, but I did see she's speaking with Cranes next month, so I will try to use that for leverage. And that's it. Big shout out to everyone on the PCA committee, Parks and Cultural Affairs. Thank you for your work and your continued stewardship. Thank you very much, Catherine. All the best.
Thank you, Nobles. You got a question from Wayne?
Not a question, just to build on your point with the Morris Jamel. One of the things that Liz emailed me about, to make sure everyone know that I think both capital projects for the Morris Jamel mansion and capital projects for the Dykeman farmhouse will be presented at the land use committee meeting, even though they're parks and culture type buildings, because they have to go through LPC. So they're capital projects for both, and land use meets the first Wednesday of the month. And Nobles, I believe Liz volunteered you to join us in that meeting.
That she did, and I will be there. Wednesdays are usually my free days because we have a babysitter, but I will make sure my free day is your day, Wayne.
It'll be virtual.
Oh, even easier. 2 more quick things before Liz comes in, because I know I missed one, and I got this in her text, so let me just say this.
Oh, I thought Liz left us.
I did too, but she was probably lurking, and it's all good. The June Art Stroll. June is Art Stroll month, folks. So there's hundreds of performance exhibitions, very huge uptown time period. And there will be through Northwestern Manhattan from 135th Street and up, including open studios the first 2 weekends of June. So please keep that in mind, major cultural affairs moment. The opening reception is Wednesday, June 1st. And I'll give Liz the more interesting update here because I just got that in text, so you can take this one.
Fernando Ortiz is confirmed, so he
Boom.
will be coming to our meeting. Is it too late for me to vote?
Yeah, we're already moved on in agenda items.
Have we announced the tally? Because I think if we haven't.
No, we did not. It's not too late to vote.
Okay, so I would like to vote yes to all except for items 1, 5, 7, and 13, on which I am not voting due to conflict because they have all contributed recently to a fundraiser that I am working on.
You said 5, 7, and 13?
1, 5.
Hold on, sorry, give me 2 seconds.
I got it.
Oh, you got it? Okay. Because I'm like, Angel was telling.
No,
Yeah,
no worries.
Go ahead,
1,
Liz.
5, 7, and 13, I'm not voting due to conflict, and yes to the rest. Thank you so much.
Ice, is that a question for PCA?
Yes, it is. I'm just curious, for the art stroll, is there going to be a poster competition this year?
There
Liz
was
is the best person.
There was a poster competition. I forget the name of the person who won it. We announced the poster competition several times. There was a poster competition. It was won by somebody. The poster is great. And the opening reception for the art stroll is a week from Wednesday. So if you're not attending Wayne's land use committee meeting, you should go to the opening reception at the Harlem Center for the Arts.
Awesome, thank you.
You bet.
Mary.
Liz, are you not reporting on Hike the Heights? Is that part of your, should be your?
I'm a bad
culture?
person. I should be reporting on Hike the Heights.
On June 4th.
Yes, it's Hike the Heights, and there's also Trails Day, all kinds of, so Hike the Heights is an amazing event that goes from the southern end of the Heights, the northern end of the Heights, and converges in the middle in Highbridge Park. I will forward, rather than give you a lot of details that nobody's going to retain in the moment because it's been a long meeting, I will forward the flyer to Ebenezer to please send out to the list. And thank you for the reminder, and my bad.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have Francisco with Business Development. You can feel free to refer the minutes, folks. Okay, Francisco, I'll come back to you, or if you need to. Mary, you're next. Concerns of the aging.
Okay. Please read the minutes from our last meeting. I want to focus the report on our next meeting, which is June 2nd at 10:30 a.m. We're going to have a presentation about cultural competency and sensitivity, led by Diane Ashley from MJHS, and also coordinated presentations by Toby Weiss and Ashton Stewart, who are part of the cultural sensitivity out, the hospice and MJHS hospice and palliative care, with a focus on aging LGBTQ community, providing support and acceptance and care as needed.
Excellent.
So we hope that
Thank
lots
you.
of people will join us. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mary. I see no hands. We're going to move on to Fe Floriman and Youth and Education.
Yes, thank you, Catherine. Yes, and good evening, everyone. Yes, I would like to report that our committee has two presentations. The first presentation, we invited the Deputy Commissioner of External Affairs from the mayor office. Her name is Valerie Vasquez Dia. And since she is newly in that position, so we wanted to basically invite her so she can speak about what is her role and what is the what would be the opportunity.
Faye, we can't. I thought it was me again. Faye, we can't hear you. Faye, are you?
Faye has faded.
I was gonna say something else. Faye, all right, welcome back, or if you can hear us, try and come back so you can finish your report. If not, we'll urge everyone to check out the minutes.
She's off.
Steve, it's your turn now.
All right, okay, let me, as I usually do, give the latest statistics on COVID-19 for our community. As was noted earlier, the city is now on high alert. The transmission rate in our community has more than doubled since our meeting a month ago, although somehow it's still lower than the rest of the city and Manhattan as a whole. The positivity rates have increased dramatically, much higher than they were a month ago. In zip code 32, 9.15%, zip code 34, 8.5%, zip code 40, 8.41%, zip code 33, 7.96%. 318 new cases in the week ending last Saturday. So the total cases now since the beginning of the pandemic almost 50,000 in our community, and close to 1,700 more than a month ago when we last met. Total number of deaths are now at 923, 2 more since a month ago. And our vaccine rates are haven't really budged very much, still running between 77 and 82% for people who have had 1 dose, 70 to 73% for people who are fully vaccinated, and we're way behind the rest of the city and Manhattan as a whole. We submitted with our chair's consent comments to the State Department of Environmental Conservation on the brownfield remediation plan for 408 and 408 West 207th Street, the Pathmark site, which is where the People's Theater Project will now have its location. So we basically called for additional protective measures to prevent dust and vapor and contamination from leaving the site during the soil excavation process and possibly affecting the neighboring residential and commercial buildings. We ask that we get reports on anything that's found in the community air monitoring plan and the exceedances of the proper levels. And we ask that some of the approximately 1,000 trucks that will be carrying the contaminated soil from the site leave at night, not just during the day, in order to minimize the effect on local streets and avoid the heavy traffic on the University Heights Bridge. And we ask that the trucks limit the routes through the community to the maximum extent possible. We ask that the work on this project be coordinated, both the remediation as well as the construction, with the 2 other brownfield sites on the opposite side of West 207th Street. And we also ask that that the plan reflect the fact that we do have cultural resources nearby in the community. According to the draft plan, we have no such cultural resources. Pointed out that we have the Dyken Farmhouse Museum a few blocks away, as well as an African-American burial ground at 212th Street and 10th Avenue. Last thing I want to mention is that we had as we discussed, as we do at almost every single one of our meetings, the fact that the New York Presbyterian has yet to reopen the psych unit that had closed at the Allen Pavilion, which we believe is not acceptable. And we will be offering another resolution on this issue at the next general meeting in June. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. We have Maria and Aisha.
Right. Just for the Steve Simons and everybody on the board and the people who are on this this meeting at the Uptown Dreamers Day Crave Show is having a game at the Malcolm X Center, which is the Shabbat Center on 165th Street and Broadway. Vaccine and boosters testing. Each Wednesday, we need to keep the place open, but if people don't show up, they won't give us the permit to, to do that. It's going to be open from 11:30 in the morning to 5 p.m. We're trying everything that we can to get people to come and get vaccinated and to get the boosters and things like that. So I urge everyone to pass the word that is, a service that is provided free. So please make sure that we have in the Pfizer, the Johnson & Johnson and Moderna. So everybody that is interested in getting vaccinated on Wednesday from 11:30 to 5 p.m. at the Shabbat Center. Thank you. And Kathy, I have an announcement at the end before we, we adjourn. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'd like to make it clear that the service that you just mentioned is being offered through the National Black Commission on Health. And
Correct.
It's very important that it's very good that it's being offered in our community and that they've been continuing to do it. The board has also arranged a similar van to be provided outside of Good Shepherd Church Monday through Saturdays. And Dr. Thornton, who provides that van, also has been stationing a similar van outside Holyrood Church on 179th Street, 178th.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay. Steve, sorry, you have Aisha, and then we got to keep moving.
Yeah, quick question. I've seen a lot more promotion of the spine center, which if I remember correctly, is what was intended to replace the mental health services at the Allen Pavilion. What is the likelihood that we can expect those services to return if the spine center seems to be in full throttle? How much of a displacement has taken place?
Well, right now, our understanding is that the psych unit is basically empty. It's not being used for anything at all. The hospital has been apparently holding it in reserve for a possible emergency with increased COVID-19 cases. They spent apparently a fair amount of money to upgrade it and make it a unit that could be used for COVID-19. The spine. The spine program preceded this issue, but I think to some extent the desire to expand the spine program has probably influenced the decision on closing the psych unit. It's not that could have, I believe that probably is one of the factors, but I think our position is pretty clear that we need the psych beds.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you, Steve, for your report. Public safety, Domingo Esteves. I'm guessing refer to the minutes.
Yeah,
Okay.
so unfortunately I wasn't able to attend the last meeting due to one of my participants' father was gunned down. And I had to attend to that. But Barbara, I don't know if Barbara, my assistant chair, is on. She wants to be able to provide.
No, sorry, she's not.
All right, cool. So refer to the minutes.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry to hear that. Last but not least is land use, Wayne Benjamin.
Thank you, Catherine, and welcome to all of the new members. I'm Wayne Benjamin. I chair land use for Community Board 12. I do refer you to the minutes of the May meeting. We had a detailed and extensive conversation about contextual zoning for the areas of Washington Heights that are currently zoned R8. And just as a point of information for everyone, in July, land use will not hold a committee meeting, but they will host a land use and zoning training session where Department of City Planning and the Manhattan Borough President's Office will basically walk us through the zoning 101 presentation that we've seen sometimes in the past, but we have not had that training for several years. And it's important for us who've been on the committee or the board for a long time, and those who are new, to get a refresher, because the language of zoning is, particular, and there were comments made earlier today by a member of the public that shows that sometimes there's confusion. The resolution the Community Board 12 passed in January of this year did not ask for a down zoning. It asked for a rezoning, and that's because the kind of zoning that was put in place in 1960-61 does not impose any height limits on buildings. So there's a difference between building height and building density. So in contextual zoning, imposes height limits, and that's one way of ensuring that you maintain the sort of scale and character of the community. So, what we want folks to be more comfortable with is the language of zoning and what it means, and that's what the training session will help us to do. When you look at the minutes, you'll see that there were a couple of contextual zoning districts that committee members thought would be appropriate to apply to the current area. There will be a resolution coming out of that, but we want to have more conversation, both internally and with the public, before we pass a resolution. the response from city planning after the January resolution was passed, they finally came back to us and said, okay, what kinds of contextual zoning are you thinking about? What would you like to see? So this is an effort to respond to that question, to tell them what we would like to see. For the new members and actually for some of the old members as well, the community board did a neighborhood planning and land use study with the assistance of City College. We completed that circa 2006, 2007. The entire report is accessible on our website. And many of the points that were relevant then, such as affordable housing, such as preserving neighborhood character and scale, such as identifying areas that can appropriately take greater density for the new development we need, all of those are still on the table. And that's another way to begin to become familiar with some of the neighborhood planning and land use matters that we in the land use committee deal with on a monthly basis.
Any questions for Wayne? Go ahead, Steve.
When is that
Aisha.
training? When is that training, Wayne?
It will be the first Wednesday of July. So it's going to be the same as if it's a committee meeting. So it'll be, the land use always meets the first Wednesday of the month at 7 o'clock, except it won't be a committee meeting. It'll simply be a training session. And it will be virtual because it's not.
Sorry to interrupt you. I was gonna say, let's just make sure that we all get that, because I was gonna say land use is pivotal and is so much to learn, takes so much time, and it's really great that y'all are doing that in the summer.
And at the executive committee, I pointed out that we really do need the office staff to e-blast well in advance of the training session multiple times that it's happening.
Great. Steve, Aisha.
I just want to second what you just said a moment ago, Catherine. I wish we could make that session mandatory, but I strongly urge that in view of the importance of the land use decisions and recommendations that are made by this board, I strongly recommend that all of the new members and certainly everybody, I think, should be attending that session.
Aisha?
My question is, where in which section of the website can we find that report?
I think it's under planning study.
Okay, thank you.
And in addition to planning study, there are some reference materials on zoning that I shared with the land use committee in the last month or so. And those are also on the website, and I believe it's under it's either under zoning reference materials or something like that.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
All right. I know it's not technically on the agenda. Maria had an announcement, and then I'll move on to old business, new business. Daryl as well.
Thank you so much. I just want to alert you to a situation that is already happening and it will continue happening. The bikers, last Sunday, there was a number of bikers that came through Broadway all the way up to over 184th Street. They took over the street. There was no way that anyone, the traffic, the buses, the pedestrian could do anything. They just did a number. They did exercises. They did, fantastic, I think, crazy things on those bikers. I mean, I used to have a bicycle when I was a child, but this is interesting to see how they can command and control our streets. And the police won't be able to do too much because they come unannounced. And it was just scary to all of us that were in that vicinity to see the power of these groups that are they organize, they all have leather jackets, they just have helmets, they have everything. So from now on, we have to be careful and see how we are going to be dealing with this type of situation. Also, I am very concerned that today we are having this meeting and seeing the tragedy in Texas, the proliferation of someone, an insane person, take a rifle and start shooting and killing students and killing people all over the place. Something has to be done about arms and the guns in our, in our nation. I pray for all of us. I pray for our nation and how we can deal and try to stop the madness that we are seeing in our country. We cannot blame the president, the police, or anything else. We need to take control of our families, our relatives, the young people who are, will go to Buffalo and kill people, and now they text us, and God, how many more is coming in any community in our nation. So I'm just letting you know that I am hurt, and there is something that we just don't know how to do and how to control, but something has to be done in our country and our nation. So thank you so much.
Daryl?
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to quickly express thank yous. Many of you reached out to me when my father passed away a few weeks ago. So I just want to say thank you for your condolences. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I know this has been a really tough month personally, interpersonally, collectively on the board for everyone. So thank you. Is there any old business? Any new business? Before I call for a motion to adjournment, I want to congratulate our new members on their first successful meeting. I hope it was not overwhelming or painful. Definitely pro tip, eat dinner before. Feel free to take your bathroom breaks. Or eat while you're on the Zoom, right? We still have the luxury of Zoom. So, we're happy to see you here. Feel free again to reach out to the office if you haven't gotten in touch with Ebenezer. So we have your contact information and the best email. This is it's June. We have one more month for everyone. Let's end this season right before the summer break. I know it's a well-deserved break, a very much needed break for a lot of us. So, we got one more month. We'll likely see each other in person to be able to transition with a bang. So stay alert on the emails around open meeting law and our upcoming hearing. With that said, is there a
motion to
Yes.
adjourn?
Oh, wait, I said it first.
Second.
Wayne seconded. Thank you. We will end before 10 o'clock.